Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Gao Wu era. After binding the school beauties, I lay down and won. Chapter 1. Hey, have you heard? Luo Cheng from the next class found a brass treasure chest in the dream space last night. I knew it earlier. He prescribed an inferior qi and blood medicine, and it went directly from a 6th rank apprentice martial artist to a 7th rank. On the eve of the college entrance examination, I became a 3rd rank apprentice martial artist. At least the first-class martial arts university has not run away. What is this? Su Linggan from the genius class, that Bingshan school flower, I heard that she has broken through the 9th rank martial artist and is recommended to the demon capital Martial Dao University. Hey, the goddess is really terrifying. In the classroom, several classmates chatted loudly with envy on their faces. And in the corner of the last row of the classroom, Shu Lin was dumbfounded. Dream space. Brass treasure chest. Musha, who I am. Where am I? In the end, what happened? Why can't I understand a word? After a while, Shu Lin finally understood. Oh, so I have crossed over. He crossed into a parallel world of high martial arts, where aliens invaded and there were many martial artists. Different from the general situation, the warriors of this world have to rely on a world called Dream Space to upgrade. Dream space is a mysterious world that can only be entered with the spiritual power of warriors. From Shu Lin's point of view, this is more like an ultimate dungeon that covers the whole world and hunts for monsters and treasures. Exotic flowers and plants, various treasure chests, dream trials, unknown ruins, and the blessings of the Holy Spirit that all warriors dream of. No matter which one it is a rare opportunity for a warrior. Of course, in addition to the rich rewards, there are also dangers in the dream space. Ferocious beasts, demons and unknown terrifying creatures are all lurking in the misty depths of the dream space. If a warrior is a little careless when exploring for treasure, he will be torn to shreds in an instant. Fortunately, dying in the dream space will not cause real death, but will only cause mental damage. In the short term, you will not be able to enter the dream space again, reducing your cultivation efficiency. However, if an ordinary martial artist does not have the medicine to nourish the spirit, his spirit will be damaged many times, ranging from mental disorder at best, to sudden death on the spot at worst. Looking at it this way, the banknote ability is indeed the best in any world. Shu Lin came back to his senses and muttered silently. Except for martial arts, this world is no different from the world he was in before. In other words, his family is still that ordinary well-off family. Very good, at least there is no change of parents and mothers. As Shu Lin was thinking about it, the head teacher Lao Wang walked into the classroom and stood on the podium, and everyone quickly fell silent. After all, Lao Wang is known as the jagged Lao Wang Ba, and he is very cruel. Everyone, there are still 3 days before the college entrance examination. Unlike previous years, the requirements and difficulty of this college entrance examination will be much higher. In the past, a 3rd rank apprentice martial artist could be admitted to a martial arts university, a 6th rank would be able to secure one, and an 8th rank would be a top-notch university, but this year, at least one level has to be raised. As soon as these words came out, the faces of the students in the classroom suddenly changed, and many people who happened to be stuck in the last admission line were even more nervous. As for Shu Lin, he silently felt his own realm. A first-class apprentice martial artist. Oh, I'm still a scumbag, that's fine. On the podium, Pharaoh continued. Finally, I advise everyone to the following points. 1. Students with insufficient realm and insufficient qi and blood should give it a go in the next week, and strive to kill a few more beasts in the dream space to improve their qi and blood. 2. Students with enough realm but with dreams, play steadily, don't take risks, and don't die. Don't damage your mental strength before the college entrance examination, otherwise you may be worse than the former classmates. Directly declare the college entrance examination failure. 3. Students whose realm is too low and can't play at all, such as Shu Lin, yes, that's right, it's you, hurry up to find a temple that is effective and put on incense, ask God to worship Buddha, if you can bless you encounter any treasure chest secret realm, maybe a dark horse can counterattack. That's it, school. Well, that Shu Lin, you can leave it, and I'll give you a blessing buff alone. Do you have any opinions? Seeing the old man with a stinky face on the podium for the first time, showing a teasing smile, everyone burst into laughter. No comment. Old Wang. Bah, Mr. Wang, you can add a few more to Shu Lin. What if you can meet the blessing of the Holy Spirit? Yes, yes, there is still a dream, in case it comes true. The blessing of the Holy Spirit is of course a joke, after all, it is a legend in the legend. In the entire history of human martial arts, there are not many who can encounter the blessing of the Holy Spirit. And everyone encountered, not only can cross a large realm, but also master a supreme secret technique. As long as they do not fall in the middle, they will all become the pinnacle of human martial arts. Even so, there was no sarcasm or ridicule in the laughter of the students, they were all encouragement. Let's go, Shu Lin. Come on, Shu Lin. Shu Lin, I know a temple, and the thief is very effective. Let's go together at that time. Shu Lin watched the classmates one by one, and his heart warmed. This is youth, this is youth. There may be troubles, there may be dark moments, but there is always a bright flame burning in the hearts of young people. The darkness that only appears in those novels will only be burned to ashes by this vibrant flame. So, Lao Tzu's golden finger. Ding! It was detected that the properties of waste materials are bursting, and the teammate bond system is being activated. Activation succeeded. The bond object is matching. Successful match. You have successfully bound Su Lingen. Fettered object. Su Lingen. Target cultivation base. 9th rank apprentice martial artist. Current status. Not yet asleep. Fit. 0. Fetter effect. 1. When the distance between the place of sleep is less than 3 meters, you will teleport 100% and the fetter object to the same place in the dream space, and activate the fetters of teammates. 2. In the teammate bond mode, the mental strength remains 100% stable, and the blood value obtained by the team killing beasts will be additionally increased. 3. The higher the fit between you and the bond object, the higher the chi and blood bonus, and more new functions will be activated. Fetter status. The current target is not within 3 meters of you, and the bond cannot be activated. Ah, this. Su Lingen, isn't this the famous school flower of genius? Shu Lin blinked, a little excited in his heart. Although it's not an invincible flow system that is crazy and cool, but team up with the school flower to explore. It doesn't seem to be unacceptable. After all, a big reason why dream space is dangerous is that the position where each martial artist enters the dream space is random and cannot be chosen by himself. Therefore, the warriors in this world are all lone rangers, and there is no way to form a team. Not only that, the dream space is too large and boundless. For thousands of years, no warrior has ever found the edge of the dream world. Even for a whole year, it is normal to not meet another human warrior in the dream world. And he is the only bug in this dream world. Not only can it form a team, but it also has the bonus of chi and blood for killing beasts. Shu Lin then clicked on the detailed introduction of the virtual panel in front of him. Currently killing beasts with vigor and blood bonus. Shu Lin, 100%. Su Lingen, 50%. Note, in team mode, chi and blood are shared. Bullshit. Shu Lin sighed in his heart. 100% chi and blood bonus, doesn't this mean that if he kills one beast, others kill 2 beasts? And many more. Shu Lin keenly discovered Wadian. Team mode, blood sharing. That is to say, he and Su Lingen will share the chi and blood of killing beasts together. Thus, it seems that he can't swallow the blood value alone, which is a small loss. But it also means that I can prostitute Su Lingen for nothing. My blood is worth it. As the school's first talented girl and a 9th rank apprentice martial artist, isn't the efficiency of killing monsters much better than your own waste? Not only have school beauties team up, but they can also prostitute for free. So fragrant. Thinking of this, Shu Lin couldn't help showing an old father-like smile. On the side, the head teacher Lao Wang, who was about to comfort Shu Lin a few words, gradually became strange. Cough cough. Oh, I almost forgot, old Wang, that you are still here. Shu Lin regained his senses, quickly wiped away the moved tears from the corners of his mouth, and looked at Lao Wang with a serious face. Pharaoh was silent for a few seconds, resisting the urge to madly flatten the child, and said solemnly, Shu Lin, I know the situation in your family, and I also know that the college entrance examination is very stressful for you. However, don't worry. With the teacher here, you can ask me any questions you want to ask now. Shu Lin blinked. can you really ask anything? Lao Wang showed a kind smile. Anything is fine. Then I want to ask, how can I cleverly sleep with Su Linggan? Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Watching Lao Wang's smile gradually stiffen, Shu Lin quickly made up. It's not what you think, it's simply sleeping together, as long as you are in the same room, not a bed. Well, at least not now. Hard. Fist hardened. Old Wang's face was completely stiff. Shu Lin, have you heard of a palm technique that falls from the sky? Is it Tathagata's palm? No, it's a dog slap created for the teacher, don't believe me. Shu Lin looked up curiously, and saw old Wang's fan-like slap facing him. Hey, what? I hit. In an instant, there was lightning and thunder, palm shadows staggered, and the fierce palm wind almost caused thousands of miles of void to vibrate. Only Shu Lin's screams echoed in the classroom. Help, old Wang is crazy, he's murdering his own students. A quarter of an hour later, Shu Lin scolded and walked out of the school gate in dismay. He has endured Pharaoh's more than 40 years of hard training and 10 dog slaps, as well as the slobbering youth health ideological education tutoring class. Fortunately, all this is not in vain. Although Pharaoh didn't teach him how to sleep with the school flower smartly. But at least she told her where Su Linggan would go after school, and the 5,000 yuan that Pharaoh had paid for him out of his own pocket. Although this old thief is still doing sneak attacks at a very old age, for the sake of his hard work, 5,000 yuan. Shu Lin still generously forgave Pharaoh. After walking out of the school gate, the wealthy Shu Lin took a taxi and went straight to the destination of the trip. The martial arts training center is where Su Linggan goes after school. It is said that it is a martial arts training hall, but it has nothing to do with martial arts training. The only function is that the training room in the hall can stabilize the mental power when the warrior enters the dream space. This is because the spiritual strength of the trainee martial artist is weak. When entering the dream space with spiritual power, the spirit will always be unstable due to the impact of the dream space, thus weakening the combat effectiveness. If an ordinary apprentice martial artist does not have the blessing of the training room, the combat power in the dream space is only about 50% of the outside world. With the blessing of the practice room, it can reach 60%, 65%, and even the highest 70%. Of course, the training room is not free, on the contrary, it is very expensive. The training room is divided into 3 grades, corresponding to the 3 blessing layers. The cheapest ordinary training room costs 100 per hour. As for the most expensive top-level training room, it has to reach a terrifying 1,000 per hour. For warriors, dream exploration just replaces sleep, about 8 hours. After conversion, in the top training room, 8,000 a day, 240,000 a month. This is the number that a man will be silent, and a woman will cry. Su Linggan is such an inhuman little rich woman. After getting out of the car, he walked into the luxurious reception hall of the martial arts training hall, which is over 1,000 square meters. Shu Lin thanked an old king silently in his heart. If it weren't for him to fund himself the $5,000, even if he had a plug-in, he probably wouldn't be able to use it. Hello sir, do you want to use our training room? A beautiful receptionist wearing an OL uniform and slender black silk legs greeted her. Shu Lin was also unequivocal, and directly took out 5,000 yuan for his whole body. The top training room, I only have one request, it must be next to Su Linggan. Seeing such a straightforward customer for the first time, Lin Wei was stunned for a moment, and then smiled apologetically. I'm really sorry, sir, we generally keep the customer's information confidential. Shu Lin thought about it for a while, then changed his words, it's still 5,000 yuan. I only spend 1 hour, and I'll give you the rest. Lin Wei blinked, then raised her hand with a very kind smile. Sir, this way please. Little brother, come on. At the entrance of the top-level training room, Lin Wei clenched her fists and made a gesture of encouragement, and walked away with long black silk legs. Who is small? Which is smaller? Why are you still cursing? But then again, after spending a lot of money, the service is not the same. Looking at the various high-end facilities and exquisite refreshments displayed in the training room, Shu Lin sighed silently, you can really do whatever you want with money. Then open the system panel and click on the bond character. Su Linggan, target cultivation base, 9th rank apprentice martial artist. Current status. Falling asleep, about to enter the dream space. Fit. 0. Fetter status. The current target is within 3 meters of you, and the bond can be activated. Done. $4,000 in tips is not wrong. Shu Lin's heart jumped, and without thinking much, he lay down on the big bed equipped with a mental stabilization device in the top-level training room. Next, is the moment to witness the miracle. Ah, what a big soft bed. Is the happiness of the rich really like this? In a trance, Shu Lin fell asleep. The real world was shattered like a mirror, and his spiritual power was quickly drawn away by a strange world. The bond activation is successful. When the beep beeps in the ear, Shu Lin opened his eyes and found that he had come to this mysterious dream space. There was a wet soft soil touch under my feet, and the air could vaguely smell the scent secreted by strange plants. He was in a dark and dense forest, surrounded by giant prehistoric trees that rose from the ground and plunged into the sky. The branches are circling high in the sky, like the ferocious arms of demons, covering almost all the light. A gloomy gray mist filled the secluded forest, and the visible range was barely more than 3 meters. In the fog, only eerie shadows swayed, adding a hint of terror. It seemed that at any time, a vicious beast covered in mucus could burst out of the gray fog, opening its bloody mouth and smashing the head of the intruder. Shu Lin couldn't help shivering. Genjil was scary. At this moment, only a crisp sound of a sword being drawn was heard. The back of Shu Lin's neck was cold, and there was a cold metal touch. There was an extra sword on his shoulder, and the blade as thin as a cicada's wings shone slightly coldly in the dark forest. Wait, the heroine is merciful. Shu Lin reacted immediately and hurriedly exclaimed. Needless to say, the one holding the sword at this moment must be the school flower Su Lingen. As for why they drew their swords to face each other as soon as they met, it was because in this world, there was an unwritten rule of dream exploration. In the dream space, what is more terrifying than the beasts and monsters is the human heart. Murder and treasure hunts are even more common here than in those immortal novels. After all, killing someone in a dream is not a killing, at most it is hurting someone, and it won't really die anyway. Even if he really died, it would be purely the other party's unlucky situation, and the murderer would not have any burden in his heart. Therefore, the first lesson taught by school teachers in martial arts is that when you meet other human warriors in a dream, you only have 2 choices. 1. Kill him. 2. Stay away from him. In short, do not delusional communication with him. Because you can't judge whether it is the sharp claws of the beasts or the dark arrows of teammates that shred your heart. Do you have any last words? The girl's cold judgment came from behind. Yes, your name is Su Lingen, female, a student of the first class of the No. 1 middle school of the Demon City, and a 9th rank apprentice martial artist. You are beautiful and have a good figure. You are also kind-hearted. You are simply the goddess in the hearts of boys in the first middle school. Shu Lin finished the call without any pause. It's not easy to have the opportunity to cheat. This is going to be killed by teammates, isn't it the biggest joke? A man must be able to bend and stretch. Lick the dog. Ah, what is the purpose of licking a dog? It's cool for a while, and it's always cool. Prostituting school flowers for nothing, that's even more cool. In short, cool. In the forest, Su Lingen, who was about to swing her sword, was stunned, and a trace of surprise flashed across her cold and beautiful face. How is this possible? Does he know me? Wrong. He was just standing here stupidly and didn't see me at all. Su Lingen was rarely confused, and the long sword in her hand also loosened. Shu Lin seized the opportunity and jumped aside immediately, escaping Su Lingen's beheading warning. I'm scared to death. Su Lingen realized that she had made a mistake, and was about to step forward with a sullen face, but she saw Shu Lin wearing the same school uniform as her own. You are also a student of Demon City No. 1 middle school. Seeing the stunned face of the usually cold school flower, Shu Lin wanted to laugh in his heart, but on the surface he pretended to be calm. Su Lingen, do you want to become stronger? Do you want to set foot on the top of a martial artist? Do you want to become an immortal legend? Shu Lin slowly took a few steps closer, with a serious face, staring at Su Lingen, so he asked in a false way. What are you talking about? Su Lingen frowned slightly, and clenched the long sword in her hand slightly, obviously not believing Shu Lin's fooling. Seeing this, Shu Lin was not in a hurry. If he wanted to turn over from his dog-licking position as a master, of course, he had to do it slowly. Aren't you curious? Why did you meet me? Even if I didn't even look, I knew who you were. Shu Lin's mouth slanted slightly and continued. Su Linggen's brows furrowed even deeper. She was indeed curious, not just curious, but even a little terrified. It is not easy to meet warriors in the infinite dream space, let alone meet warriors of the same school. When a coincidence is irrational, it is no longer a coincidence. But premeditated, could it be? He can choose the location of the teleportation by himself. Impossible, impossible. Even if he really can, there is no way to know where I will teleport to. When Su Linggen was puzzled, Shu Lin replied as if she had guessed what she was thinking. That's right, it was all planned by me. Introduction: my name is Shu Lin, a student in the 3rd and 4th classes of Modu no 1 middle school. And the reason you met me was because I choose you. More precisely, choosing you as my teammate. If you don't believe it, you can feel your current state. As far as I know, the top training room you are in can only allow you to have 70% of the combat power of the outside world, so guess, how many percent do you have now? Su Linggen didn't react at first, she just watched Shu Lin's performance quietly, until he showed his strength. Su Linggen was stunned. Under normal circumstances, there would have been a sense of frustration and limitation on her body. This is because the mental power of the trainee martial artist is not strong enough. Even with the top training room assistance, it can only reach this level. But now, the frustration is gone. The restriction is not felt at all. Only then did Su Linggen recall that the movements of drawing and swinging her sword were far smoother than before, but she didn't notice it when she was focusing on Shu Lin at the time. 10%. It is 10%. This is something that even a peerless genius with spiritual power can't do it. How on earth did he do it? What is the concept of having 100% combat power in the dream world? More power, faster speed, smoother moves, and can kill more beasts. No, these are enough to make people envious and jealous. But it's much more than that. When a warrior can exert his full strength in the dream space, he will also gain a unique advantage. Practicing martial arts. In the past, the dream space was all good, but there was only one disadvantage. Due to the many limitations of the spiritual incarnation coming to the dream, it is not easy to be able to play half of the usual level, let alone tempering martial arts in battle. But now it is different. With 100% combat power and no restrictions, every battle can use all his strength and improve his martial arts. In this way, it is equivalent to an extra 8 hours of martial arts practice every day for no reason. Thinking of this, even Su Linggen, who has always been aloof and indifferent, was no longer calm, and an excited blush appeared on her fair and beautiful face. Who are you? What is your purpose? After a short period of excitement, Su Linggen's eyes flashed, she calmed down again, and took a deep look at Shu Lin said. Gee, as expected of a talented schoolgirl, she can still keep questioning me so calmly. If I had changed to a general martial artist, I am afraid I would be jumping up and calling my father excitedly now. Shu Lin sighed silently, feeling a little disappointed in his heart. But he quickly adjusted his mentality, looked at Su Linggen again and said with a smile. I said, I'm your classmate, my name is Shu Lin. Of course, if nothing else, I will also be your teammate for a long time in the future. As for the purpose, of course, to explore the dream space together with you. Almost missed the point, Shu Lin braked in time and put on a solemn expression. How? Accept or give up? This chance is only one time. After hearing Shu Lin's words, Su Linggen fell into silence. Obviously, she is not a person who will easily trust others. Not to mention a stranger who has never had an intersection and is full of fog. However, the shock Shu Lin brought her was a little too big. She had always been resolute, but there was some hesitation in her heart. For a long time, only then did Su Linggen raise her head again and look at Shu Lin. The hesitant look in her eyes returned to calm again, and her delicate chin lightly tapped without a trace and said, Okay, I'll trust you for now. I agree to be your teammate. Shu Lin smiled when he heard the words. Wise decision, you will not regret it. You might even want to call me Dad. At this moment, the system beep sounded again. Ding. Detected that your compatibility with Su Linggen has increased. Current fit, 10%. Congratulations, your teammate's bond has been improved, and the chi and blood bonus has increased by 10%. The first fit is improved, and the crit bonus is triggered. Congratulations, you got the talent, Elementary Eye of Truth. Eye of the Elementary Truth. Function. In the dream adventure, you can roughly explore the situation hidden in the gray fog. Current range, 10 meters. After reading the reward details this time, Shulin was overjoyed. Compared with the increase in the chi and blood bonus, the Eye of Truth for this crit reward is the real surprise. You must know that the reason why dream exploration is dangerous is largely because of the strange gray fog that permeates the entire dream space. Since the situation cannot be seen clearly, the martial artist can only choose the direction of advancement by luck. Whether the gray fog ahead is a gift from a treasure chest, a secret realm, or a hideous beast lurking, no one can know. And the arrival of the Eye of Truth is simply open to the sky. Without any hesitation, Shulin opened the primary Eye of Truth and looked towards the gray fog covering him. Directly ahead, dangerous. You don't want to come across it. Front left, little danger. You could be stuck with it for hours. It was dangerous to look at 5 or 6 directions in a row, until Shulin turned around and finally got something. Right rear, small harvest. The beautiful girl by your side can easily solve the trouble. Then it's up to you. Shulin set the direction, turned his head and pointed to the suspicious Su Lingyan, and said with a smile. Let's go, Master Su, it's up to you. Su Lingyan did not refuse. She had long seen that Shulin's cultivation was only a first-rank apprentice martial artist. It's just, how did he do all this with such a low level of cultivation? And, what was he doing just now? Looking for an easy way. Thinking too much was useless. Su Lingyan nodded lightly, then clenched her long sword and took the initiative to walk in front of Shulin, her eyes like autumn water vigilantly scanning the surrounding movements. As for Shulin, he was following behind Su Lingyan lazily, silently admiring the concave and convex figure of the schoolmaster Su. Before entering the dream space, Su Lingyan put on a tight black martial arts uniform. A pure white belt is tied around the small waist that Yingying holds, and the contrast of colors makes the visual effect even more shocking. A pair of slender legs are outlined in a beautiful shape by black tights. The trousers made of this special material will not only not bind the hands and feet of the warrior, but make the movement more sensitive. It's a pity that this leg doesn't kick 3 rounds. Shulin sighed while watching. Suddenly, his expression changed slightly, and he reminded Su Lingyan in front of him. Be careful, there is a beast coming right in front of you. Su Lingyan was worthy of being a 9th-rank martial artist. Almost at the same moment when he heard the sound, the long sword in his hand had already stabbed straight away. PFF'd. Wherever the long sword went, it just hit something and stabbed it directly. Squeak. A sharp cry came from the gray fog, and then there was no movement. Su Lingyan's eyes flickered, she retracted her long sword, and quickly took a few steps forward. I saw that on the ground where the long sword had just stabbed in the direction, there was a mouse that was covered with jet black needles and the size of a cat. The reddish-brown blood slowly dripped from the body of this strange mouse, apparently already dead. Black needle rat. Su Lingyan frowned deeply. This is the least dangerous type of beast in the dream space. Equivalent to a 2nd-rank apprentice martial artist, the attack method is to launch black needle hair with a slight paralysis effect on the body. Because of its agility and small size, it is difficult to detect in advance under the cover of gray fog. It belongs to the kind that can't kill people, but is disgusting. If it wasn't for Shulin's reminder just now, at least he would have been disgusted by the black needle hair. Thinking of that scene, Su Lingyan couldn't help but feel a chill. At this moment, strands of bright red blood wafted from the black needle mouse's body. Part of it floated into Su Lingyan's body, and the other part was absorbed by Shulin, who was long overdue. Seeing this scene, the pupils in Su Lingyan's eyes widened, as if she saw something incredible. Shulin looked innocent. Listen to me explaining to you B. Needless to say, since we are teammates now, you helped me again, as it should be. Su Lingyan was only briefly surprised, and then she waved her hand to show that she didn't mind. Seeing this, Shulin also felt a little more favorable towards this teammate who had been beaten by his overlord. If he only wants benefits, but is unwilling to let him prostitute for nothing, he is absolutely unacceptable. After all the wisps of blood wafting in the air were completely absorbed by his body, Shulin only felt a burst of warmth coming from his body. Your teammate Su Lingen successfully killed a black needle mouse. You have obtained 105 points of bonus blood value. Full of chi and blood, you have successfully advanced to the second rank apprentice martial artist. Full of chi and blood, you have successfully advanced to the third rank apprentice martial artist. The continuous beep ends, and the virtual panel appears. Host: Shulin. Cultivation: third rank apprentice martial artist 5/100. Talent: primary eye of truth. Weapon: none. Martial skill: none. Secret skill: none. Looking at the series of nothing, Shulin fell into silence. What have you been doing all these years? A scumbag can't be this scumbag. No wonder after the system is in place, the first thing that comes to mind is prostitution. There's no way, I'm really prostituting with strength. What? Su Lingen's whisper interrupted Shulin's silence. He turned his head and saw that Su Lingen was fiddling with the body of the black needle mouse with a long sword, occasionally poking out a blood hole, which made Shulin feel a chill creep up his back. It's too terrifying, the mouse is so pitiful, the school flower of Su didn't even let go of its corpse. Just listening to Su Lingen muttering while poking. That's not right. The black needle rat shouldn't have such a strong blood value, is it a mutation? Oh, so that's it, that's fine. Shulin coughed lightly. Cough, that's Su Shalwa, I forgot to tell you something. What's the matter? Su Lingen said, putting away her sword. For some reason that I can't tell you, the blood value you get from killing beasts when you and I form a team may be a little bit more. How much is a little? For the time being, 60% more. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Su Lingen's pupils trembled, and she looked at Shulin as if she was looking at a monster. While watching, he silently tightened his neckline, with an indescribably complicated expression on his pretty face. Shulin, do you have any intentions for me? Shulin, Su Shalwa, you misunderstood. Su Lingen still didn't believe it. Then why are you looking for me for such a great deed? Shulin was speechless. Well, I actually want to know why the system chose you. Could it be because it peeked at my XP? Pooh, I'm a decent gentleman who only loves prostitutes, and I don't have any XP at all. It should, because you are the most powerful genius in our school. After all, you've seen it, I'm just a first-rank scum, and I need a capable teammate like you to charge forward. That's a reasonable explanation, isn't it? Shulin made up with a serious face and complained. This chick is really too wary, can't there be more trust between people? Seeing Shulin's sincere eyes, Su Lingen couldn't help feeling a little guilty. Yes, he has already taken advantage of him so much, how can he slander him? Thinking of this, the coldness on Su Lingen's face that had always been like an iceberg melted a little. Sorry, I was the one who blamed you. His tone was very sincere, and there was even a faint blush on his cheeks, which was particularly eye-catching. Su Lingen, known as the goddess of icebergs, actually laughed. Shulin couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. She had to say that Su Shalwa, who laughed, really felt like a sister next door. Ding. Detected that your compatibility with Su Lingen has increased. Current fit, 20%. Congratulations, your teammate's bond has been improved, and the chi and blood bonus has increased by 10%. It's up again. It seems that Su Lingen is not as inhumane as she looks. Good, keep working hard. With this experience of cooperation, Shulin will choose the direction for the next expedition. Front left, small harvest. Your teammate Su Lingen successfully killed a steel-backed pig. You have obtained 110 points of bonus blood. Full of chi and blood, you have successfully advanced to the 4th rank apprentice martial artist. Front right, talk is better than nothing, go and kill it. Your teammate Su Lingen successfully killed a silver worm. You have obtained 30 points of bonus blood value. In the blink of an eye, half an hour has passed. Even if Shulin has the plug-in of the Eye of Truth, it is not always rewarding. Most of the time, all the directions in front of him were dangerous, and they were some high-level beasts that even Su Lingen couldn't deal with. Then Shulin had no choice but to bite the bullet and choose a path that didn't seem so deadly, and then the two were chased by the beast and fled. Ha! After another dangerous escape from a crazy colorful tiger queen, the two were gasping for breath. Shu Lin looked down at the chronograph in the training room on his wrist. 0 hours 5 minutes and 45 seconds. He spent 1,000 yuan for an hour to experience the top training room, and only the last 3 minutes were left. Once the time is up, the wake-up device that comes with the training room will forcefully wake him up. This is the end of the two-person expedition. Shu Lin thought silently, then turned to look at Su Lingen, who was almost exhausted from exhaustion. Her eyes couldn't help being moved. At this time, she was no longer as relaxed and indifferent as she used to be. Pretty blushed. Her soft hair was messily draped over her shoulders, her body undulating slightly as she gasped for breath, and there were several more hideous bloodstains on her tight black martial arts uniform. This was to protect himself, the weak chicken, from being scratched by the beast. "Thank you for believing in me," Shu Lin said. Hearing the sound, Su Lingen's eyes flashed a bit of surprise, but she still pretended to be cold, turned her head, raised her proud chin, and said, "Who told us to be teammates now? Don't worry, I will cover you." Shu Lin nodded and said, "Well, I have to go first." "What?" Su Lingen turned around suddenly, looking at Shu Lin with a strange look. "Why, you can't do it in an hour." Shu Lin's face darkened. "It's not impossible, it's because I don't have money. Who asked you to choose the top training room? I spent all my money to sleep next to you." "You mean, you're in the training room next to me now? So, you really have something to do with me. You think too much. HMPH, don't dare to admit it. Are you embarrassed? Hee, I'm leaving. Hey, wait for me, I'll go with you. Don't you charge for 8 hours each time? Well, so what? It's okay, I forgot that you are a rich woman, sorry to bother you." 0 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds. As the chronograph on Shu Lin's wrist resets to 0, the world in front of him shatters again. He disappeared into the dream space. Bah, bah, bah. What a rich woman. It's ugly. In place, Su Lingen pouted at the position where Shu Lin disappeared, and pressed the exit function on the watch. Dream, broken. Dear guest, your 1-hour top training room rental time has expired. If you need to continue to use it, please renew it in time. Dear. Shu Lin clicked his tongue as he listened to the pleasant reminder sound in the training room. As expected of a capitalist, I was stunned even for a minute. Phew, it's still my school flower. I was stunned to be promoted to the 4th rank apprentice martial artist for nothing. Getting up from the big soft bed, Shu Lin immediately felt the physical changes brought about by the upgrade. The vitality coming from his internal organs was extremely vigorous, and he could almost hear the strong, thumping, beating of his heart, and the blood flowing through his body even brought bursts of scalding temperature. Qi and blood were condensed like mercury, surging in the body. Shu Lin clenched his fist and punched. Boom! There was a small sonic boom in the air. Although it was not even a little bit worse than the genius of a 9th rank apprentice martial artist like Su Lingen, it was far stronger than the previous self. It is no exaggeration to say that Shu Lin can now drop 3 or 5 of his former self with one hand. And this is only for an hour. Hiss. Thinking of this, Shu Lin couldn't help but take a deep breath. This son. No, it's so terrifying. In time, he must learn from Pharaoh's slaps, and then slaughter those so-called geniuses who are aloof. Of course, with the exception of Su Lingen, she is now a big baby, the kind who can always prostitute for nothing. Correct. Almost forgot about her. Shu Lin stopped dawdling, got up and walked towards the door of the training room. As he walked, he unconsciously gave birth to a little nervousness in his heart. It was obvious that we were still fighting side by side in the dream world, and we were born and died several times, but now that we really want to meet in reality, it still feels a little strange. What's the matter with the inexplicable feeling of online dating? But what Shu Lin didn't know was that at this time, in the training room next to him, Su Lingen was not doing much better. She knelt on the edge of the bed and stared blankly at the little white boots under the bed, her eyes wandering, and she was rarely at a loss. Obviously, in the dream space just now, he said with arrogance that he would cover that guy. Now what? What a strange feeling. After struggling for a long time, Su Lingen finally did a good job in psychological construction. Well, I'm Su Lingen. Well, I am a genius. I haven't seen any big storms. Isn't it just to meet a teammate? Yes, I am not afraid of anything. Speaking of which, the guy said he was a teammate, he always felt more like a younger brother. Friends. Little white face. Ba ba ba. Su Lingen, what the hell are you thinking? You're just a simple interest relationship, right? Da da da. At this moment, there was a slight sound of footsteps in the training room next door. Originally, a top-level training room like this had the best sound insulation effect, and there shouldn't be any noise and kinetic energy. But for some unknown reason, Su Lingen clearly heard the footsteps, and the moment she heard the sound, she identified the owner of the footsteps. It's like having telepathy. That guy got out of bed. Go to the door. It's opening. No, I can't be later than him. Su Lingen bounced off the bed almost at once, put on her shoes, adjusted her collar, and rushed to the door at the fastest speed in her life. Crack. The two door openings sounded almost simultaneously. The moment their eyes met, the two of them forgot their words at the same time. Su Lingen looked at the young man in front of her. He was about 1.8 meters tall, with fine bangs hanging on his forehead. He was wearing a clean school uniform. So, at most a little handsome. Shu Lin was also stunned when he looked at the girl in front of him. It's a little bit different from the impression. At this time, Su Lingen's pretty face had a blush, and her long black hair was a little messy, although her temperament was still cold and refusing to be thousands of miles away. But, I always feel that something is weird, especially the touching blush, which seems to be caused by the surge of qi and blood. The two stared at each other for a long time, but neither of them spoke. The scene was very embarrassing. At this time, Shu Lin felt that as a gentleman, he should take the initiative in this situation. So he spoke up. Why is your face so red? Do you have a fever? Quote ? Talk more if you can. Fever. Whose 9th-rank apprentice martial artist still has a fever? If you spread it out, do you want to mix it up? Su Lingen gave him an angry look, and instantly returned to the state of the iceberg goddess. Her lips were slightly open, and her voice was clear and cold. Come with me. Oh, Shu Lin followed up subconsciously, and only after walking 2 steps did he realize something was wrong. It's not right. I'm a dignified 7-foot man, don't bow down for 5 buckets of rice. How can I listen to her? Oh yes, she is a rich woman, and she is willing to let me prostitute for nothing. That's fine. At the same time, Su Lingen, who was walking in front, also seemed to feel that she was a little inappropriate. She hesitated for a while, then turned her head and added. There are too many people here, it's inconvenient to talk, what do you think? It's okay, you lead the way, I can do it. Shu Lin shrugged and said it was fine. You are a little rich woman or a genius, you have to be confident. At least you have to show the momentum of, I don't want you to think, I want me to think. Be polite to me. Where's the little watermelon? While admiring the beautiful scenery in front of him, Shu Lin hated in his heart that iron would become steel. Hey, little brother, you're out. In the reception hall, Lin Wei was bored when she saw Shu Lin walking out, her eyes lit up. She has a good impression of this handsome high school student who looks good, talks nicely, and acts likable. Not to mention, the look of bribing himself with gritted teeth in pursuit of girls is simply too cute. It's a pity that the object he wants to pursue is Su Lingen, a well-known big customer in this training center, a talented girl. After working here for 3 years, she has met countless suitors of Su Lingen. However, no one can succeed, not even the slightest sign. Su Lingen, she is an aloof, proud and talented girl. The cute little brother is also expected to be disappointed. But just as she was about to walk over to comfort Shu Lin and return the remaining 4,000 yuan to him, she saw the girl in front of Shu Lin. Su Lingen. Is this a coincidence? Lin Wei was stunned and couldn't believe the scene in front of her, but Shu Lin heard her voice and came over. It's Sister Lin Wei. Thanks to you, you have helped me a lot. Looking at Shu Lin with a smile on his face in front of him, he looked a little disappointed. Lin Wei opened her eyes slightly, and whispered, little brother, you won't be successful, right? Shu Lin didn't speak yet, but Su Lingen on the side saw the two approaching and talking. Her eyes flickered for a while, Yinya bit her lip, and walked over with a pair of long legs. Shu Lin, what's wrong? The girl's slightly chilled voice came, and Shu Lin suddenly felt that the temperature of the air conditioner in the hall was a little low. It wasn't until he told the previous story that he had successfully found the training room thanks to Lin Wei, and Su Linggen's face became better again. That's it. Su Linggen thought for a while, then reached out and took out a gilt black card and handed it to Lin Wei. Thank you for your help. This is the VIP annual card of the Martial Arts Training Center. It was just issued this month. In the next year, my training room will be yours. You can use it yourself or sell it. Although the voice was still cold, it didn't have the chill just now. Looking at the gilded black card in her hand, Lin Wei was completely dumbfounded. Of course she knew this card. This is the top VIP card in my own training hall, and it is worth at least several million, so give it to me like this. Lin Wei's voice was a little hoarse. Miss Su, this is too precious, and you also need to use it at ordinary times, right? Hearing this, Su Linggen tilted her head and glanced at Shu Lin, then smiled lightly. It's all right, I don't need it anymore. Watching the two leave, Lin Wei looked at the card in her hand and felt that today was like a dream. But she didn't see that. Not only her, but almost everyone in the reception hall at this moment was stunned. There was only one question left in everyone's mind. What the hell is this kid? Even Su Linggen was kidnapped by him. And also, how big of a backer does this kid have? How dare he? Su Linggen's father, but he claims to interrupt all her daughter's three-legged suitors, nicknamed Dress in the Dream. The director of the Magic City Martial Arts Bureau. At this time, Shu Lin didn't know that his three legs were already in danger. He was sitting in Su Shalwa's Maserati, enjoying the touch of the breeze caressing the ends of his hair. Along the way, countless passers-by have been baptized with envy, jealousy and hatred. 20 minutes later, the magic capital, the first-class villa in Longcheng. Under the unbelievable eyes of the security guard, Su Linggen led Shu Lin into the gate of the villa. This is a small Western-style villa, covering an area of more than 200 square meters, and the interior decoration of the villa is luxurious. Shu Lin even suspected that he had walked into a palace. Originally, he was a little worried that it would be a bit too hasty to go home so quickly to see his parents, but fortunately, Su Linggen sneered and told him that he was dreaming. This is the villa where she lives. Usually, there is no one else except Aunt who cleans. It can only be said that the little rich woman is more inhumane than he imagined. Okay, now it's just the two of us here, you can explain. Su Linggen walked straight to the living room and sat on the pure white leather sofa, with her head resting on the soft pillows, and a pair of slender legs casually placed on the coffee table. Exquisite body curves. Lines. By Lu. At this time, her expression had returned to her usual coldness, like a queen aloof, looking down at her courtiers. What a fickle rich woman. Shu Lin complained silently, but he didn't care too much. After all, he also had some understanding of Su Linggen's temperament. This chick is either arrogant or arrogant. I guess you guessed it, my special ability is limited. Shu Lin said. Su Linggen nodded. This kind of ability is almost unheard of. Perverted. If there is no limit, then it is worth it. What restriction? We have to sleep together. What did you say? Su Linggen stood up suddenly, her chest heaving, her pretty face full of shame and anger. Don't get excited. As long as you are within 3 meters and fall asleep at the same time, I don't want to sleep in the same bed with you. Shu Lin added slowly, feeling dark in his heart. Who made you look so arrogant? Su Linggen stared at him for a long time. Are you sure you didn't lie to me? The old man is innocent. Seeing that Shu Lin really didn't look like she was teasing her this time, Su Linggen fell into deep thought, and her expression kept changing. For a long time, Su Linggen seemed to have made a major decision, took a deep breath, looked at Shu Lin and said, okay, then you can move to my house. Quote question mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. This time, it was Shu Lin's turn to be shocked. He opened his eyes wide, and was stunned when he looked at Su Linggen, who was expressionless and did not seem to be fake. What did I hear? Let me move in. Isn't this cohabitation? How could you say such a thing with such an expressionless face? Are the high school flowers so fierce? Seeing that Shu Lin didn't say a word, and the look in his eyes became more and more strange, Su Linggen couldn't help but get a blush on her face. She pretended to be calm and said, don't think too much. Who made your conditions so weird? It's obviously your problem. Don't stare at me. Shu Lin tried his best to calm down and asked, then can't we go to the martial arts training center? Just like today. Are you rich? Su Lingyan glanced at him and snorted, the meaning was self-evident. Then can I find an ordinary one? Shu Lin asked tentatively, he was really not sure what Su Shalwa meant. Boys must have a sense of protection when they are outside alone, there are too many hooligans. After being rejected twice in a row, Su Lingyan couldn't hold back her face, and gave Shu Lin a vicious look. You know, a big watermelon. Do you know how shocking your ability is? If you are discovered, you won't know how you died. The training hall is convenient, but it's not as safe as you think. What we have to do now is to keep a low profile as much as possible. Anyway, with your ability, it is the same for us to cultivate at home. Yes, it is like that. Su Lingyan's face was not blushing or her heart was beating, she explained with the calmest expression and the most thorough analysis of half-truths. As for which part was made up, only she herself knew. Although Shu Lin felt that Su Shalwa's words were a bit like when she was fooling her, she didn't think much of it. After all, low-key development is in line with his character. But, I can't move in, Shu Lin said. Su Lingyan frowned. Why? Miss, don't you look at where you live? There are more surveillance cameras around this room than in our community. Also, even if you live alone now, what if your parents suddenly attack one day? Shu Lin rubbed his forehead. I'll rent a house, you can move to my house. Hey, Mom, I'm discussing something with you. Isn't this the college entrance examination? I may not be going home recently. I'm not fooling around, I'm not giving up, what are you talking about? Your son is going to be angry. Yes, to be angry, not to run away from home, nor to make a female classmate's belly bigger. Don't worry, isn't it just the college entrance examination? It's very stable. The old king has given me private tutoring these days, and I'm already a third-rank apprentice martial artist. Really? Why are you lying? Mom, wait, when the time comes, my son will give you a first-class martial arts university, so you can show off to Aunt Wang. No money, free tutoring, yes, save the money and go out to have a delicious meal with Dad. Half an hour later, outside the intermediary hall. After hanging up the phone, Shu Lin let out a long breath, sweating profusely. Good guy, making a phone call is more tiring than killing a beast. Have you really been so unreliable before? No matter what, I finally made my mother believe that she didn't want to be violent, give up, kill, and set fire to herself. Shu Lin turned his head, only to find that Su Lingyan was looking at herself with strange eyes, covering her mouth with a hard smile. Quote. Seeing that her snickering was discovered, Su Lingyan was not embarrassed, she put on a cold look again, and walked in front of herself. Let's go, the house is rented, it's near the school, a happy home, low-key enough. Quote. It should be, isn't the school over there? Go to the mall, don't you need to buy daily necessities? Right, looking at the graceful back in front of him, Shu Lin suddenly felt an inexplicable rush to live. Is this about to start living together? There seems to be a big gap between the road of the warriors who fought bloody battles and fought to the death in the imagination. But, so fragrant. However, on the corner of the street where the two of them were not aware, a boy who also wore the uniform of the No. 1 middle school opened his mouth and looked like he had seen a ghost. Then he silently took out his mobile phone and aimed at the background where the two were leaving. Crack. Took a photo. Big news. Big news. Is there anyone alive in the group? Come and watch. In the class group of the 3rd and 4th classes of Modu No. 1 middle school, the screen was suddenly swiped by this news. What big news? Chen Hao, you said it. Did someone find the treasure chest in the dream space again? Jill turns purple with envy. Classic headline party. It's still selling off. Mouse, be careful that you don't have API when you have a son in the future. Who is making a fuss here? The widow is going to explore the dreamland soon, and if you don't make a real move, be careful to behead your dog. Just when everyone angrily denounced Chen Hao's title party. Ding dong. Chen Hao backhanded and posted a photo. In the photo is the back of a man and a woman walking side by side on the street. It was just accidentally captured by Chen Hao at the street corner. What, isn't it just a street scene photo? It's still so blurry. Come on, pull it out and cut it. Rat, you've changed. You're not a good paparazzi. How did you become a Riddleman? Wait, that boy is wearing our school uniform. It looks a little familiar. Ah, are you so blind that Shu Lin can't even recognize him? Chen Hao said helplessly. Look again, who is the other one? Shu Lin betrayed the organization and is looking for a girlfriend. To fall in love on the eve of the college entrance examination, as expected of Brother Lin, a brave one. No, what the hell? The girl next to Brother Lin looks a bit like Su Lingyan. Seeing that someone recognized it, Chen Hao proudly sent a few wild laughter expressions and then typed. That's right, it's Su Lingyan, the schoolgirl. I accidentally ran into the two of them when I was going out to buy toilet paper, so I took a photo for you to see right away. The class group suddenly boiled. Worry, Brother Lin in the society, there are so many cruel words. I actually won the Bingshan school flower without a sound. No way, could it be just a coincidence? It happened by accident. I also don't think it's possible. Blindly guessed that Brother Lin also came out to buy toilet paper. By the way, no one is wondering why you buy toilet paper at night. Dog head, dog head. Everyone is chatting hotly. Suddenly, a person with the title of administrator and the nickname, Ambition for 1,000 Miles, appeared, and sent a sentence in a cold voice. The college entrance examination is coming soon, why don't you hurry up and prepare? What gossip are you talking about here? When Chen Hao saw it, he was immediately unhappy. He finally found a big news, so he immediately typed and said. Who are you? You have such a wide control. I am your class teacher. Chen Hao, since you have time to buy toilet paper, buy 2 more sets of apprentice martial artist chi and blood training test questions and give them to me tomorrow morning. No, Teacher Wang, I was wrong. Kneeling. JPG. On the street, Chen Hao looked at the 2 rolls of toilet paper in his hand and wanted to cry without tears. Isn't this a private class group created by classmates in the class? Why is Pharaoh here too? My mind is broken. Ha 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 ha. This classmate who loves to laugh, you also go to buy 2 sets, and hand them in together tomorrow. In the teaching building of the 3rd and 3rd grades of Modu No. 1 middle school, in the teacher's office. Old Wang looked at the class group that was crying and howling on the phone, the corners of his mouth rose, showing a smug smile. Hey, a bunch of little fools. They still want to fight with me. He has been lurking in this class group for 3 years. 3 years, 3 years. The countless days and nights of patience over the past 3 years are for today. Let you not prepare well for the college entrance examination. Ha 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 ha. But soon, looking at the blurred back photo in the group, Lao Wang's smile disappeared again. Shu Lin, this little fool is the most idiot. Said to pick up girls really pick up girls. Lao Su worked hard to save money, and risked the huge risk of being discovered by a tigress to save 5,000 yuan. You kid actually took it to pick up girls. Wait, doesn't that mean I'm an accomplice? In an instant, Lao Wang's mentality collapsed. Happy home community. After finishing the big purchase, the 2 returned to the newly rented house. This is an ordinary residential community. Although it has been some years, the condition of the house is still relatively good. 70 to 80 square meters in size, 2 bedrooms and 1 living room, decorated in warm colors, it looks very warm and has the taste of a small home. But Shu Lin looked around, but fell into contemplation. After a while, Shu Lin turned to look at Su Lingyan who was packing her luggage and said, Su Shalwa, did you find a problem? Su Lingyan raised her eyes and asked suspiciously, what's the matter? Is the house not suitable? I came here as you requested, 2 bedrooms and 1 living room, an ordinary community, and move in with a bag. Well, 2 rooms are 2 rooms, but have you noticed that the distance between these 2 rooms is a bit far? Su Lingyan blinked Kazilin's big eyes, and was stunned for a moment, then she looked at the 2 bedrooms, her eyes widened suddenly. The 2 bedrooms are 1 in the east and 1 in the west, with an entire living room and aisle in the middle, not to mention 3 meters, even 10 meters. Due to the emergency, they never came to see the house in advance. In addition, Su Lingyan, who had been in fine clothing and food since childhood, had no experience in renting a house. So, just rented such a peculiar house. No, I have to find another agent to rent a house again. Su Lingyan blushed with shame and turned around to go out, but was stopped by Shu Lin. Don't go, the intermediary is off work early, and money can't be such a disaster, so let's make do with it. Make do with it. Su Lingyan was a little puzzled. How could this make do with it? Shu Lin smiled. Tonight, go to your place or come to me. Quote. Go away. Although Su Lingyan came up with countless solutions, such as going to a martial arts hall, going to a hotel, going back to a small villa, etc. to make do with one night. But without exception, they were all rejected by Shu Lin on the grounds that he was too lazy to move. In this regard, Shu Lin acted wildly. Just kidding, who is in control of the situation? I don't want you to think, I want me to think. In the end, Su Lingyan ruthlessly set a series of prohibitions, and once Shu Lin had bad intentions, she would use countermeasures to deter Shu Lin, and then she could be considered to give in. Sleep in a room. After taking a shower, she put on a soft, close-fitting pajamas. Su Lingyan's face was flushed, and she crept to the door of Shu Lin's room. It's not that she doesn't trust Shu Lin, it's just shame. Fast forward to the same room with a boy who has not known each other for half a day. Even if it is an ordinary girl, it is unacceptable. Not to mention the person who suffers from severe mental cleanliness and has always disliked contact with people. On weekdays, even if a girl is close to her, she will subconsciously dodge, and then immediately stay away. This is also the reason why she will be dubbed the iceberg goddess. Of course, in the eyes of most people, she is more inhumane, pretending to be arrogant, and looking down on others. These are not important anymore. The only thing Su Lingyan is worried about now is, in the same room, if he also shows a displeased expression, will Shu Lin see himself in the same way? Forget it, don't want it anymore, it really doesn't work, just quit it yourself. Shu Lin has such an ability to defy the sky, is he afraid that he can't find a suitable teammate? Su Lingyan sighed in her heart and gently opened the door. Hey, you finally took a shower. I've already laid the floor. Shu Lin knelt on the mattress removed from the other room and turned his head. Looking at Shu Lin, who had been busy for a long time, Su Lingyan couldn't help but feel a little moved in her eyes, and felt more and more guilty in her heart. Or, just as she was about to say, why don't you sleep in the bed, she saw Shu Lin kicked his legs and rolled onto the big bed, showing a look of enjoyment. Ah, this bed is really big. It's more comfortable than the one in the training room. While admiring, Shu Lin tilted his head and said, Su Shalwa, why are you still standing there? You're welcome, I have already laid the floor for you. Don't be embarrassed, just treat it like your own home. After all, this house is your money. Su Lingyan, what was I just moved by? 10 minutes later. Shu Lin, are you asleep? Su Lingyan, what do you say? Why can't you sleep? Because, you haven't turned off the lights yet. And you've been staring at me. Oh, sorry. Clap, the lights are off. A few minutes later, the real world shattered again. Dream space. It is detected that you and your teammate Su Lingyan are entering the dream space, and the teammate bond has been successfully activated. A beep sounds. Shu Lin opened his eyes, and he had come to the dream space again. It was still the deep bewildering forest, and the gray fog seemed to be more turbulent than last time. He couldn't even see what was a meter away in front of him. So scary, but fortunately I have hung up. At this time, Su Lingyan, who also just opened her eyes, also noticed the abnormality of the gray fog in the strange forest. How could this be? The gray fog in the dream space generally won't change so much, unless... Su Lingyan frowned. Unless what? Shu Lin asked. Su Lingyan said, there are high-level opportunities to be born, such as treasure chests, dream trials or the opening of ruins. I am afraid it will be in the next 2 days. Tisk, isn't that a good thing? Why are you so serious? Shu Lin laughed. Su Lingyan stared at him for a few seconds, and then said helplessly, I really don't know if you are really stupid or pretending to be stupid. Haven't you studied in the basic theory of dreams class? No, Shu Lin blushed, and silently scolded himself in this world in his heart. The memory left to him was nothing useful except playing and messing around. Seeing this, Su Lingyan could only explain patiently. The birth of high-level opportunities is certainly a good thing, but it is also accompanied by danger. This kind of gray fog change is not only seen by us, but all nearby warriors can see it, and they will all be attracted. And in this case, the warriors who can successfully gather here will not be weak, at least they must be at least 7th rank apprentice warriors. If you are unlucky and encounter several high-quality apprentice martial artists in a row, I can't guarantee that I can protect you. After hearing this, Shu Lin finally understood. To put it simply, he is really too weak, and he is an oil drag bottle, and even a genius like Su Lingen might not be able to carry him. Ah, it's so frustrating. It's okay, don't think too much. Even if I face this kind of opportunity alone, the probability of not getting it is very high. After all, there are too many unpredictable factors. Su Lingen comforted, but Shu Lin's eyes not only did not dim, but showed a shimmer of chicken thief, and asked, "Will we meet official warriors where we are?" The official martial artist is also called the martial artist realm, which belongs to the great realm above the apprentice martial artist. On top of that, there is the martial Dao Grandmaster realm, the martial Dao Grandmaster realm. After that, Shu Lin didn't know either. No, although the location of the dream space is random, it is still graded. Except for some extremely special circumstances, high-level warriors will not be encountered. Su Lingen was used to Shu Lin's ignorance and said directly, "That's good." There was a malicious smile on the corner of Shu Lin's mouth. Seeing his smile, Su Lingen felt panicked for no reason, and frowned. "Don't think about it. Even if death in a dream is not a real death, the college entrance examination is about to happen now, so you can't take risks. He. It's an adventure for others, but for me, oh no, it's very stable for us." Saying that, Shu Lin smiled mysteriously at Su Lingen. "Guess why I knew the location of the Black Needle Mouse in advance. The five senses are sharp. No matter how keen you are, can you be a 9th rank apprentice martial artist? Sixth sense, quote. Who the hell is a woman? Then what else? Wait." Su Lingen had a bold guess in her heart. She looked at Shu Lin, her lips slightly opened. "You don't have clairvoyance." About the same, but not very accurate. Color embryo." A coquettish shout came, and before Shu Lin could respond, Su Lingen had already dodged behind a strange tree, revealing only a pretty face full of frost. Shu Lin. Okay, at least not directly drawing the sword, which is a good thing. Su Shalwa, what are you thinking about every day? I mean that I have the ability to see through the fog in the dream space, not the kind you think. I'm not that rude, okay. Really, Su Lingen was still a little suspicious. It's the puppies that lie. Only then did Su Lingen come out from behind the tree with a very complicated expression. Shu Lin, sometimes I really can't see through you. Do you think I'm mysterious? No, it's because you have so many abilities that can be called perverted. How did you achieve such a low level of cultivation? Quote. Speak well, don't scold people. Oh, then tell me, I'll listen to you. What do you want to do? Seeing Su Lingen's appearance as being dispatched by Jun, Shu Lin showed a satisfied smile. Of course, first develop steadily, wait for the opportunity to be born, and take this opportunity to yin and yin people. Open the eyes of truth. After scanning the surroundings, Shu Lin chose a direction. Front left, a good plant, but the guy who guards it is a bit difficult to deal with. Su Shalwa, be careful, this guy shouldn't be so easy to deal with. Su Lingen nodded. Got it. With that said, the two slowly moved towards the gray fog in front of the left. The silver-white long sword opened the way, and the sharp sword light continued to disperse the fog. Seeing Shu Lin envy for a while, he asked Su Shalwa, "This sword is forged with a special metal in the dream space, so it can be brought into the dream world, and the sword is only 5 million. That's 5 million. While complaining, Shu Lin kept an eye on what was going on ahead. Be careful, it's here, coming. The moment Shu Lin saw the prompt, he immediately blurted out, and at the same time, he mobilized the power of chi and blood all over his body and rushed out. Although he is still a weak chicken, his promotion to the 4th rank apprentice martial artist has given him some combat power. Su Lingen's reaction was more sensitive, her eyes narrowed, she stepped lightly on one foot, her body leapt up with incomparable lightness, and her long sword gracefully slashed in an arc in the air. In the depths of the gray fog, first a stench and pungent breath rushed toward the face, followed by a two-headed giant snake with a length of 7 or 8 meters sticking out its hideous diamond-shaped snake head. The blood basin has a big mouth, and the snake letter is stretched out, like a red training shot. Hiss. The speed is fast and the power is strong enough to make the 8th rank apprentice martial artist drink hate on the spot. But at this moment, Facing him, it is Shu Lin, who is ready to go. Just at the moment when the snake letter failed. Get ready to stab at 7 inches. Shu Lin did it casually. He picked up a dry branch that was about the thickness of a bucket, shouted loudly, and swung the trunk toward the two-headed snake and swept away. Boom! The dry branches slammed into the huge snake body, and then burst open inch by inch. On the other hand, the two-headed giant snake was only hit by the sudden force and stopped for a while, and the snake body was protected by the gleaming red snake scales with almost no scars. But this obviously angered the two-headed snake, and the two dark eyes stared at Shu Lin. Snake Shinzi vomited again and went straight to Shu Lin. Dry. Su Shalwa, are you okay? Shu Lin scolded lowly, and was about to dodge in a hurry when a cold voice sounded. All right. At the moment when the voice fell, white light appeared in the air, and a flash of cold light pierced through the air as fast as lightning, across the long snake letter, and then swipe under the two hideous and ugly heads of the two-headed giant snake. Shish! Su Lingen landed in front of Shu Lin again, shrewdly retracting her sword into its sheath, not even looking at the snake at all, grabbing Shu Lin's collar and retreating directly to a dozen meters away. Just listen. Bang! Bang! 2 muffled sounds. It was the sound of 2 snake heads falling one after another. Shu Lin only felt a force that was hard to resist, and then he was more than 10 meters away. I only saw that the huge body of the two-headed giant snake in situ collapsed suddenly, and the stench and foul blood spurted out like a fountain. In an instant, the entire soil was dyed red. The place where he was originally standing was the worst hit. Call. It's so dangerous. It's thanks to you that you pulled me out in time, otherwise I should have become a little red man now. Shu Lin looked at Su Lingen gratefully, but found that at this moment, Xiao Xiao's pretty face was as pale as paper, and her delicate body was swaying in the wind. Quote? Injured? Shu Lin asked with concern. Su Lingen waved her hand. It's okay, it's just being vomited, so disgusting. Saying that, she bent down and retched. When Shu Lin saw him, he immediately became anxious. The only general under his command fell. Is this still worth it? He quickly took a few steps closer, and reached out his hand to gently caress Su Lingen's thin back to comfort her. While touching, he comforted. It's all right, didn't this escape in time? 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Su Lingen only felt that time had stopped at this moment, and the expression in her eyes seemed to be sluggish. She didn't dodge subconsciously. He clearly watched this guy approaching him, and he even stretched out that salty pig's hand to touch him. But myself, why didn't I get out of the way? Is it because I was just disgusted by the ugly snake, so it affected the reaction? What about now? That guy is still touching shamelessly, why hasn't he automatically moved away? It was like a thunderbolt struck her heart. Su Lingen didn't dare to think about it. She immediately stood up straight, and shook off Shu Lin's salty hands, her expression extremely cold. Let's go. Didn't you say there will be gains? Go and see. Seeing Su Lingen, who changed her face in a second, Shu Lin pouted after being slightly surprised. A fickle woman, dead arrogant. Later, the two found a strange plant with blood-red and round fruits near the body of the two-headed giant snake. Blood fruit. It can slightly increase the chi and blood of the apprentice realm martial artist, without side effects. Seeing the blood fruit, Su Lingen was only slightly surprised, and then said lightly. You can eat it. Although the blood fruit is not too rare, it is the most suitable fruit for improving chi and blood for apprentices. Don't be embarrassed, the top priority now is to improve your cultivation. Having said that, Shu Lin would be hypocritical no matter how modest he was, so he didn't say much, and went forward to collect the blood fruit and put it in his mouth. With a slight sip, the thin skin of the blood fruit burst open, and the rich juice of the fruit turned into a stream of pure blood, all the way down the throat. Swallowing a blood fruit, you have obtained 2,000 points of chi and blood. Your teammate Su Lingen successfully killed a red-trained two-headed snake. You have obtained 1650 points of bonus blood value. Full of chi and blood, you have successfully advanced to the 5th rank apprentice martial artist. Full of chi and blood, you have successfully advanced to the 6th rank apprentice martial artist. Full of chi and blood, you have successfully advanced to the 7th rank apprentice martial artist. Full of chi and blood, you have successfully advanced to the 8th rank apprentice martial artist. A series of beeps sounded one after another. Shu Lin only felt a surging wave of blood surging from within his body, surging and rushing rapidly between his internal organs, flesh and bones. The scorching hot energy of qi and blood hit every acupoint of the body, constantly breaking through the shackles of cultivation, nourishing the whole body. After a while, Shu Lin's face was flushed red, sweating profusely. The top of the head is even visible to the naked eye, and a white gas rises up. Call. It wasn't until the 4 successive upgrades were completed and the blood recovered, Shu Lin breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, he felt the vigorous energy and blood in his body, and he seemed to have inexhaustible energy all over his body, as if a single punch could shatter the boulder. I just want to have a hearty, dripping fight to vent. Is this a powerful feeling? Shu Lin sighed silently. No wonder those high-level apprentice martial artists in the school had their eyes above the top. Indeed, whoever possesses such a power comparable to that of a little Superman, I am afraid it will be difficult for him to regard himself as an ordinary person. How's it going? You're at least 2 ranks this time, right? Beside him, Su Lingen asked. Shu Lin nodded very calmly. Well, almost. I am now an 8th rank apprentice martial artist. Su Lingen. May's eyes widened, and she stared at him for a long time, before Su Ling said with an expressionless face, perverted. Hee hee. It's all thanks to the school flower of Su University. Shu Lin laughed. Seeing Shu Lin's stern look, Su Lingen gave him a sullen look, each other. In the short half of the night, she has soared from the first rank 9 to the middle stage of rank 9. And this is all because of Shu Lin, the infinite cheating bug. It is the increase of qi and blood, and the ability to see through the fog, which directly increases the efficiency of dream exploration countless times. Where to go next? Next. Shu Lin was about to speak when the prompt in front of him suddenly changed. Front right, a similar kind is approaching fast, not so friendly. Be careful. Chapter 11. There are warriors coming, it doesn't seem to be a good thing. Shu Lin said solemnly. Su Lingen frowned slightly. Run or fight? No, do you remember my previous strategy? Give him a wave. Shu Lin smiled cheaply and walked into the gray fog alone. On the spot, Su Lingen immediately understood what he meant, used her body technique, followed behind him, and silently hid in the gray fog. At this moment, on the other side of the bewildering forest, a burly young man in a gray suit was walking quickly in the gray fog. Holding a blood-red long knife, he watched the surrounding movements with vigilance. It should be coming soon. I hope it's a lose-lose scene. This way. Can't I just take advantage of the fisherman? Wang Shuo was attracted by the sound of the fierce fighting just now. As an experienced and powerful 9th rank apprentice martial artist, he immediately judged that this must be a big fish. Imagining the next harvest, the corner of Wang Shuo's mouth rose slightly, and the footsteps began to slow down. He's ready to be a one-hit, two-killer hunter in the shadows. Da da da. At this moment, a clear and loud footstep sounded suddenly. Come on. The footsteps are so obvious, it is estimated that it is a second-handed martial artist. The corners of Wang Shuo's mouth became more curved, and he slowly clenched the long knife in his hand, ready to teach this 2 idiots a lesson at any time. It was not what he expected. In the gray fog ahead, a young man with bare hands walked out leisurely, humming a song while walking. I haven't been a big brother for many years. I don't like cold. This big brother. What a coincidence. Who are you? Seeing him, the young man not only did not panic at all, on the contrary, he looked surprised. What a fool. Who is your fellow? But this kid is so surging, and if he really fights, I'm afraid it will be troublesome for a while. It's better to be polite to this fool first, and then take him home when he is not prepared. Wang Shuo decided his strategy ironically, and then showed a happy look. Oh, I finally met a warrior. I belong to the magic capital. Where are you, little brother? Ape dung ah ape dung. I'm also from the magic capital. Isn't this a fellow? That's great. Family. Wang Shuo greeted him familiarly while looking for the angle of the sneak attack. And across from him, Shu Lin's smile was even more exaggerated, and his mouth was almost cracked. That's right. It's family. What could be happier than the leaks of the Ga family? As he happily greeted him, he made a gesture with the hand hidden behind him. Hug him. In the fog, Su Lingen, who witnessed the whole process, couldn't help but have a clearer understanding of Shu Lin's behavior. Fortunately this guy is my teammate. With the long sword unsheathed, Su Lingyan turned into an assassin walking in the mist, disappearing in place like a ghost. Hey, Brother Wang, have you heard a word? After a while, Shu Lin and Wang Shuo had become one, and it was time to make blood alliances and sworn brothers. Hearing this, Wang Shuo laughed inwardly. The long knife in his right hand was quietly approaching Shu Lin's back waist, and Ming Mian replied calmly, "What?" Shu Lin grinned. "When the fellow sees the fellow, stab him in the back." Not good. Hearing this, Wang Shuo was shocked, and cold sweat broke out down his back. The long knife in his hand was about to stab Shu Lin's back. But at this moment, Chong just heard a small sound behind him. His hand holding the knife was chopped off by a cold sword that appeared out of nowhere, and the severe pain of the severed hand instantly spread throughout his body. When he turned around again, Wang Shuo's hair stood on end, so scared that his soul was scattered, because only a silver-white sword light was left in front of him and swept straight towards his neck. Shish! The sword light swept through the room, and the head fell to the ground. Team up! Sneak attack! The last sentence fell, and Wang Shuo's body turned into a white light, dissipating in the dream space. In the air, only two balls of light, one red and one black, were left floating quietly, exuding a strange shimmer. "What is this?" Shu Lin asked curiously. However, seeing Su Lingyan's rare expression of surprise, she took a step and quickly grabbed the two balls of light in her hands. After doing all this, she looked relieved, turned to look at Shu Lin and said, "You're lucky to meet a martial artist with a dream spirit." Dream spirit, Su Lingyan explained. Dream spirit is a peculiar existence in the dream space, similar to elves, but most of them do not possess spiritual intelligence. Each kind of dream spirit has a special talent that can provide a special boost for the warrior. For the warrior, the dream spirit is the best support. Oh, it's like adding an extra buff. Shu Lin thought thoughtfully, then looked at Su Lingyan. "Then do you have a dream spirit on you?" Su Lingyan nodded, stretched out her hand, and a lavender ball of light condensed in her pale jade-like palm. The lavender light ball gradually detached from the palm of her hand, turning into a small ball of light with two fleshy souls, which circled around her palm. "This is the dream spirit that I carry, the speed of the wind, short for the wind dream spirit. It belongs to the one-star dream spirit. It can increase the movement speed of the warrior, and has a talent skill, the wind. The reason why I can approach Wang Shuo quietly is because of it." After listening to Su Lingyan's explanation, Shu Lin suddenly felt that he had opened the door to a new world. There are such magical little creatures in the dream space. Wouldn't it be possible to explode dream spirits all over the place by killing a powerful Grandmaster realm martial artist? The visual effect is simply a blast. Just thinking about that scene made Shu Lin excited. What kind of dream spirits are these two? Su Lingyan glanced at him. This black blade is called the illusory spirit blade, referred to as illusory sword dream spirit, one-star dream spirit, and the talent skill, illusory knife, which can transform into a one-star sword-like weapon. It is a relatively tasteless one-star dream spirit. After all, a warrior with a little capital can directly buy a one-star dream weapon. But, just right for you. I originally wanted to take you to buy a dream weapon tomorrow, but now is the time to save money. Shu Lin, murder kills the heart, right? Not even teammates. What about the other one? This is not a dream spirit at all. Su Lingyan shook her head. This is a blood bead. It is a bead of blood condensed by the unlucky fool who was plotted by us in this dream expedition. Also, it's time for you to make up for the cultural class. This is the basic common sense of dream space. Facing the contempt from the academic tyrant, Shu Lin, the scumbag of the academic scum, was speechless. Here, it's all for you. Su Lingyan threw two balls of light over. Crack, fell to the ground. Quote. Can't you pass it to me? Shu Lin picked up the two treasures in distress. Cannot. Su Lingyan's face was cold. Next time you meet Mengeling, you must be quick, otherwise once Mengeling reacts, she will run away. Then you still throw it over? Shu Lin questioned. Su Lingyan he said. That's because I sealed it for you with chi and blood, you scumbag. Aren't you even willing to hide your contempt for me? Shu Lin protested very deeply. Ha! Su Lingyan snorted lightly, and the protest was automatically dismissed. Later, under Su Lingen's meticulous guidance, Shu Lin finally absorbed the qi and blood beads smoothly, and successfully bound Mengeling into his own little slave. Successfully absorbs a qi and blood bead, you get 300 qi and blood points. Successfully bound a 1-star dream spirit, Blade of Phantom. Referred to as the magic knife dream spirit. Phantom knife dream spirit. Talent increase. Slightly increase the swordsmanship proficiency of the warrior. Talent skill. According to the martial artist's own attributes, a sword with a level of 1 star is transformed, and all wear and tear can be automatically restored. Not bad, finally don't have to use your bare hands. Shu Lin was very satisfied. It may be tasteless to Su Lingen, but for him, a poor ghost, it is simply perfect. At the same time, after binding the magic sword dream spirit, Shu Lin suddenly had countless insights on sword techniques out of thin air. Like Daigo's empowerment, he suddenly became a master swordsman. Come the knife. Shu Lin snorted softly, looking forward to what kind of treasured saber would be transformed according to his own attributes. Is it the domineering and leaky Qinglong Yanyu sword of Eri Guan? Or the big machete of the Kyushu warriors? Or is that the kind of samurai sword that has a good life inhumanly? Soon, it fell with Shu Lin's summoning sound. The whole body of the fantasy sword dream spirit began to emit a mysterious black light, and the shape of the body began to change. Then, in Shu Lin's increasingly weird eyes, the magic sword dream spirit began to split into 2 black lights. What the hell? Buy one get one free. But this is not the end. The 2 groups of black light continued to split, becoming 4 groups, and then 8 groups. As the dazzling black light slowly condensed into a knife. Shu Lin is numb, because what was floating in front of him was not anything he imagined. But the 8 swords with narrow and long bodies, flickering cold light, flying swords. Wo Ri, little Li Fei Dao, PFF'd. Su Lingen on the side accidentally laughed out loud. Quote. Shu Lin's face darkened even more. What's the meaning? Look down on people. Could it be that Mengeling can slander the master with impunity? Am I the kind of warrior who only throws throwing knives in the dark to attack others? Could it be that because I plotted against your former master, did you just take revenge on me so carefully? After being incompetent and furious for a while, Shu Lin reluctantly accepted the fact that he had completely transformed from a melee fighter to a long-range shooter. There is no way, after the magic knife dream spirit recognizes the master, it can only be fixed in one form and cannot be changed. Bah, you really are a chicken rib. As time went by, the dream adventure was drawing to a close. After the initial good fortune, the expeditions that followed were somewhat mediocre. Didn't find any decent chance, the 2 just slaughtered more than a dozen small beasts together, and then they were chased by a few big beasts for most of the strange forest. The final result is that Shu Lin successfully climbed from the first rank 8 apprentice martial artist to the peak of rank 8, while Su Lingen was a little slower, only from the middle rank of rank 9 to the high rank soon. After all, the higher the rank, the more qi and blood value needed to advance, even several times or 10 times the increase. Crack. As the world in front of them shattered, the 2 left the dream space together. It was already morning when Shu Lin opened his eyes again. The rising sun in the early morning shines on the faces of the 2 people through the casement, which is very comfortable. Morning. Su Shalwa. Good morning. Facing Shu Lin, who greeted him warmly on the bed, Su Lingen rubbed her sleepy eyes, and it was a little difficult to adapt to this cohabitation life for a while. Simply bought some breakfast downstairs to support the stomach, and the 2 walked on the way to school. Since the community they are in is very close to the magic capital No. 1 middle school, they are all students who come to school along the way. From time to time, some surprised and suspicious eyes glanced at the 2 of them. Why don't you go first? I'll leave later, we'll stagger. Seeing that Su Lingen was not used to their eyes, Shu Lin's gentlemanly demeanor awakened again. Su Lingen was stunned when she heard the words. Knowing that he was taking care of her emotions, she shook her head and said, "It's fine, just get used to it." Yes, they will get used to it in the future. Su Lingen. But obviously, Su Lingen still underestimated her charm and influence in the school. As we get closer to the school, we meet more and more students, many of whom are students of the same grade, and even classmates. Then, when bunches of strange gazes gathered up at the school gate, they exploded completely. Is Su Lingen coming to school with a boy? No way. My goddess has always been alone. When has she ever been close to others? How can that fool be so close to Sushalwa? He shouldn't sully my goddess Lengshan, right? Be confident and leave, shouldn't, go. I watched it all the way, and they came together. On. At the same time, worry, Shu Lin and Su Lingyan are coming to school together. It's not a coincidence that Chen Hao posted in the class group last night. It's true. Who the hell do you call Shu Lin? Shu Lin? Brother Lin. I was wrong, I want to apprentice to Brother Lin. No, if the old man is willing, I am willing to ask Dad. During this rush hour, the school gate was originally crowded. But just after Shu Lin and Su Lingyan appeared side by side, a wide road was automatically lined up in the crowded crowd, as neat and tidy as the troops inspected by the chief officer. The dog was stunned and saluted the two of them. Su Lingyan regretted it a little. For a patient with severe mental cleanliness like her, this scene is a bit too scary. Like thousands of small ants crawling over her. She only felt that her whole body was burning with panic, and her smooth and white neck was stained with a touch of pink. Looks extraordinarily attractive. Grass. What did that fool Shu Lin do to the goddess? Why is the goddess blushing? Hearing such words, Shu Lin couldn't accept it in his heart. Slander. Absolute slander. I didn't do anything. What's wrong with just sleeping with Sushalwa? Although it's under one roof, and it's still a room. But not on the same bed, isn't it pure enough? What do you still want from me? Just when Shu Lin was slandering, in the crowd, a boy who stood out from the crowd and wore a small suit with a Sao bag walked towards the two of them. As he walked, he looked at Shu Lin with gloomy eyes. It's him, it's him, it's him. The classic villain has appeared. Next, it's my turn to pretend to be a martial artist, right? I'm familiar with this routine. Shu Lin's heart was agitated, and he recognized this boy. Zhang Yang, in the same class as Su Shalwa, is also a famous genius in the school. It is said that he has always had a crush on Su Shalwa. Shu Lin is ready. Come on, humiliate me as much as you like, and then be slapped in the face by me as a background board. Wow, ha 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 ha. He had just laughed half-heartedly when he heard Su Lingyan beside him looking at Zhang Yang standing in front of him, her thin lips slightly parted. The voice was extremely indifferent, with a queen's aura that could not be rejected. Step aside. Zhang Yang was stunned for a few seconds when he felt an icy, biting wind coming towards him, and slapped him mercilessly onto the ground beside him. Zhang Yang, Shu Lin. Su Lingyan withdrew her hand and walked straight into the school gate without looking at him. Zhang Yang sat on the ground, as if everything happened too fast, and he was shot away before he could react. On the spot, only Shu Lin gave him a hated look, then sighed faintly and stepped over from him. Hey, there's no way, the school flower of Su University is too strong, it's not my turn to pretend. Speaking of which, Su Lingyan seems to have changed her face again, she seems to be very impatient, she is really a girl who is uncertain. Not to me anyway, to others, whatever. Humming a little tune, Shu Lin walked happily on the school's forest path, and when he looked up, he saw Pharaoh who was full of resentment. Ha, old Wang, ha, Pharaoh, what's the matter? Say what troubles you have to make the students happy. Kiki, it's to help you solve problems. Shu Lin coughed lightly and stopped the car in time. The upgrade rose too high last night, and the mentality seems to be a little inflated. Pharaoh estimates that at least he must be a formal martial artist, and he has practiced with one hand and 10 slaps. Can't beat it, really can't beat it. Lao Wang has long been accustomed to Shu Lin's rudeness, but glared at him angrily and said, "Come with me." Oh, Shu Lin followed, and started thinking silently in his heart. What is it today? First a boy blocked the door, and then was called away by the teacher. Could it be that you have to make me pretend? So forceful, so deliberately. If this is a novel, it's just this kind of rubbish plot. Sprinkle dog food on the keyboard, and the dog can write better than him. Quickly following old Wang, Shu Lin immediately noticed something was wrong. Pharaoh's face. It seems a little different today. Although his face under the gold wire glasses was still unbearable to look directly at as usual, his face was full of folds. But it seems to be swollen a bit. It can be vaguely seen that it seems to be hanging. The king is hurt. Hiss. I didn't expect that the old king, who is well versed in the profound meaning of martial arts, would be beaten one day. This is really hilarious. Ha 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 ha. Old Wang turned his head and looked suspicious. What are you laughing at? Oh, sorry, I just thought of some happy things. Shu Lin instantly restrained his smile and said deeply. Lao Wang didn't believe his mouth full of running trains at all, and stared at him for a few seconds. It's okay not to look at it. When he saw it, Old Wang's eyes widened. Have you advanced? What? Shu Lin was shocked. It was all seen. Isn't that pretending to fail again? Gone. Do good people radiate light all over their bodies? Otherwise, how did Pharaoh see it? At this point, Shu Lin can only recognize it. Well, last night, I had a good luck in the dream exploration. I encountered a small chance and advanced. Hearing this, Old Wang's complexion finally improved a lot, and said, how many is it now? Well, less than the 9th grade. Shu Lin said truthfully. He didn't intend to deceive Pharaoh. After all, it was thanks to his funding that it went so well yesterday. It is interest to make his old man happy. But what Shu Lin didn't expect was that. After listening to it, Old Wang didn't have the slightest reaction. Instead, he looked at him with a smile. I understand, if it's less than the 9th rank, is it the 2nd rank? Stinky boy. Still want to scare Lao Su, scare the teacher. No, Teacher Wang, you misunderstood. I really am not at the 9th grade, the 8th grade peak. Shu Lin said seriously. Not only that, but in order to prevent Old Wang from disbelieving, he simply held his breath, and the majestic chi and blood at the peak of the 8th rank madly surged out. Reach out, aim at a sweet-scented osmanthus tree beside you, clench your fists, and hit. Boom! A violent explosion sounded. On the sturdy tree trunk that the two people could hug together only by holding hands, a fist mark was blown out. Sawdust splashed, and the whirring sound of wind leaked from the hole in the trunk. After doing all this, Shu Lin smiled casually, forcibly pretending as the most deadly. Pharaoh stared blankly at the osmanthus tree he planted in one middle school 10 years ago, his face full of cows. The ancient sentence could not help but appear in his mind. There are sweet-scented osmanthus trees in the forest, which I planted by hand when I first came to this school, and now it's like a pavilion. Ting Ting is like a fart. All ruined by this little fool. Little fool, give me back the osmanthus tree. Old Wang murdered his own students again. Help! On the campus in the early morning, the terrifying screams broke the silence and lingered for a long time. 5 minutes later, outside the teacher's office, Shu Lin rubbed the chicken's head again and walked out cursing. Ding! Pay Qinbao to the account for 10,000 yuan. He received funding from Pharaoh again, at the cost of another lecture on the Youth Quality Regulations and Campus Flowers and Plants Care Manual. Of course, regarding Pharaoh's generous funding again, Shu Lin doubted that he was simply frightened by his aptitude as a monstrous genius, for fear that he would seek revenge on him in the future. Back in the classroom, Shu Lin just stepped in the door, and the noisy classroom suddenly fell silent. All eyes turned to him. Hello, Brother Lin. All the boys in the class stood up at the same time and gave Shu Lin a 180-degree bow. Some thought that one was not enough, and even brought a few more on purpose, and almost didn't send him away on the spot. Shu Lin was wondering if he had any medical report discovered by them, when he saw Chen Hao holding a coke and leading a group of boys, and greeted him with admiration. Boss, have a sip of Bing Kuola. Brother Lin, my brother will beat your legs. Dad, teach your son how to pick up girls. Seeing the pair of eyes twinkling with admiration and ingratitude, Shu Lin nodded silently. Right, this is what the protagonist should be treated to. He was about to enjoy the joy of Ban Pong, when a cold voice interrupted all this. Shu Lin. Shu Lin turned his head and saw that Su Linggen was standing at the door, still with that arrogant look. What's wrong? Shu Lin was taken aback. Didn't this just separate? Missing me so soon? So sticky. Seeing his reluctant look on his face, Su Linggen took a deep breath and raised her forehead. I have something to do with you. Come on, Brother Lin. Yeah, boss. Leave us alone, let's go. Dad, hurry up, don't make my mother wait. Wait, what the hell was that messing in at the end? Before he could speak, Shu Lin was pushed to the door by a group of boys. Although Su Linggen was a little puzzled by Shu Lin's various strange names in the class, she still smiled politely at the classmates behind him. Thank you. You're welcome, sister-in-law. Yes, don't be polite to us, we will send Brother Lin to you at any time if you need it. A group of younger brothers were flattered and booked their tickets. Su Lingen, Shu Lin, okay, ignore them, let's go. Shu Lin, who was betrayed in seconds, sighed and dragged Su Shalwa away from the sad place. As soon as she walked out of the teaching building, Su Lingen, who had been silent and blushed, finally spoke. The top martial arts universities are preparing to open a dream experiment class for the next new students this year. Shu Lin reflexively wanted to say what the top martial arts university had to do with him, but he quickly realized it. That's right, I seem to have a chance now to get admission letters from these top universities. Dreamland experiment class, what is it for? Su Lingen didn't answer directly, but asked, do you know why there are warriors in this world? Because of the appearance of the dream space. Shu Lin searched his memory and replied. Su Lingen nodded. Originally, there is no real martial artist or cultivation in our world, at most it is some self-cultivation meditation. Until more than 100 years ago, the emergence of the dream space changed the pattern of the entire world. Since then, human beings flying into the sky and breaking through mountains and rivers are not only fantasy in the movie but also bring crisis. Shu Lin suddenly thought of something, alien invasion. That's right, then you know. Forget it, you definitely don't know. Su Lingen sighed and said. The so-called aliens are actually beasts from the dream space. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Shu Lin was really surprised. Is this world really that wild? Dreaming can not only become a warrior, but also the beasts in the dream can enter the real world. Su Lingen continued. Essentially, the dream space should be regarded as the other side of the world, but for some reason there is a channel connected to Blue Star. Blue Star warriors can enter the dream world by entering a dream, and the very few high-level beasts in the dream world can also break the shackles and enter our real world. And, once a beast enters the real world, it will have the same abilities as a warrior. Shu Lin took a slight breath. Resurrection. Su Lingen nodded solemnly. About these things, even ordinary warriors don't know, only the real top martial arts universities will teach them. Then how did you know? Shu Lin wondered. Also, if you leak the secret like this, won't you be locked in a small dark room? Su Ling's face was expressionless. My father is the director of the General Bureau of Martial Arts in the Magic Capital. Quote. Excuse me. Shu Lin retreated. It turns out that she is not only a little rich woman, but also a top official. The second generation. Let's get down to business, because the physique of beasts far exceeds that of warriors of the same realm. Once they enter the real world, they can almost be resurrected indefinitely. So, if you want to kill them completely, there are only two ways. 1. Kill their avatars dozens or hundreds of times in a row in the real world, but this is almost at the expense of the warriors' lives. So the Martial Arts Administration generally adopts another method, entering the dream world and killing their bodies. Although it is more difficult to find, it can at least ensure the safety of the warriors. In recent years, the incidents of dream beasts invading the real world have become more frequent, and not only high-level aliens, but even some low-level beasts seem to have found some ways to enter the real world. And due to the level restrictions of the dream world, high-level warriors cannot handle such incidents. So, this is also the reason why top universities have set up dream experiment classes for freshmen, poured out resources, and focused on cultivating talented freshmen. Low-level vicious beasts will be handed over to low-level warriors to deal with. After Su Lingen explained patiently, she looked at Shu Lin and said, this is a rare opportunity, whether it's for you or me, but there will be some cost and even danger, so I want to ask you what you mean first. After all, we are teammates now. I understand. Shu Lin looked at Su Lingen and asked seriously, Modu, has there been an alien invasion? Su Lingen seemed to have guessed what he meant, and after a moment of silence, she said. It happened. Just yesterday, a community in the southern suburbs was attacked by aliens, causing heavy casualties. Why is there no news about such an important matter? Shu Lin's face was a little unsightly. Before this, he had never seen these things in any newspaper or magazine. For him, the alien invasion was just a vague concept, and he even felt that it had already ended. But until now, he didn't know that all this had never ended, but was deliberately downplayed. This world is far more dangerous than he imagined. Maybe one day, he or his parents will be invaded by aliens and silently die from this world. Like evaporating, no one will know. Because it is meaningless, it is cruel to let ordinary people know too much about the alien invasion. Su Lingen's expression was indifferent when she said these words, but Shu Lin could see the pain and unease under her indifferent face. That's right, her father is the director of the Martial Arts Bureau of the Magic City. For most ordinary people, she may not be able to encounter dangers in her entire life. She must be worried about it every day. No wonder she went to the training center after school, and even agreed to live with her even at the expense of her own cleanliness. In this comparison, I am really just an ignorant and lucky, a scumbag. After a long time, Shu Lin looked back at Su Lingen, whose face was a little sad, and said, I promise. Su Lingen raised her head in surprise and said in disbelief, Are you serious? Hearing this, Shu Lin grinned. It's done. Isn't it just a little dangerous? I don't believe in such a buggy combination of us, and we can't handle those ugly beasts. Looking at Shu Lin, whose hippie smiling face seemed to be taken seriously, Su Lingen's eyebrows and eyes were curved into a beautiful shallow crescent, the corners of her mouth were slightly pursed, and her smile was like a flower. Like the warm sun in winter, all the ice and snow on the pretty face are melted away at this moment. When she first heard the news, she didn't actually hold out much hope that Shu Lin would agree. Although it was only one night of getting along, it was enough for her to see that Shu Lin's personality was different from most hot-blooded teenagers his age. Jumping off, not serious, mouth. Flowers, like sneak attacks. If you have a high EQ, it's called being overly stable, and if you have a low EQ, you're going to follow your heart. But until this moment, only then did Su Lingen suddenly realize that maybe she didn't know him well enough. It's nothing, I'll go back to the classroom first. And many more. Shu Lin was dizzy at the smile of Su Shalwa's human and soulful smile. Just as he was about to run away, he was stopped again. What's wrong with the school flower of Su University? Shu Lin was a little helpless. Su Lingen raised her eyebrows and glanced at him arrogantly. Special training. Our school wants to give you a good training. Otherwise, just relying on your meager and almost blank knowledge of the warriors, and the combat power of a weak chicken, how can you compete with those real top demons? The college entrance examination is not a dream space. You don't have so many changeable plugins that can cheat. Seeing Su Lingen, who suddenly had high fighting spirit and was about to train herself hard, Shu Lin wanted to cry without tears. Is it too late for me to go back now? Humph. Su Lingen gave him a look to experience it. What do you say? Shu Lin. Ding. Detected that your compatibility with Su Lingen has increased. Current fit, 30%. Congratulations, your teammates' bond has been improved, and the chi and blood bonus has increased by 10%. It is detected that the degree of fit reaches 30%, and the new bond reward amplification of comprehension will be unlocked. Amplification of savvy. When triggering the bondage of teammates, get additional savvy bonus. The current teammate bond is as follows. 1. In teammate bond mode, mental strength remains 100% stable. 2. The blood value obtained by the team from killing beasts will be additionally increased. Note, your bonus is 130%, and Su Lingen's bonus is 80%. 3. The comprehension of the team when practicing martial arts and secret skills will be increased. Note, your bonus is 130%, and Su Lingen's bonus is 80%. Bonding requirements. Teammates are within 3 meters. When the fit reaches 50%, 80%, and 100%, new bond rewards will be triggered. Hey, it's upgraded again. I'm a little embarrassed for this plugin. After a quick look at the introduction, Shu Lin's heart was already happy. This is as if someone gave him a pillow when he fell asleep. What should he do if he didn't have martial arts skills? He came to cheat. As expected of my school flower baby, it is so fragrant. She looks beautiful and has a good figure, and she can make me prostitute for nothing. The school flower of Su University, YYDS. All the way to the martial arts club specially opened by the school, Su Lingen finally couldn't bear the hot eyes that came from her. Have you seen enough? She turned her head, blushed, and glared at Shu Lin fiercely. Shu Lin said truthfully, I haven't seen enough, but there is still time in the future, so you can watch it slowly. Having nothing to say about Shu Lin's thick skin, Su Lingen conceded defeat. Go ahead of me. Oh, Shu Lin had to look back regretfully. The two were one after the other, and as soon as they entered the martial arts club, they immediately attracted everyone's attention. Fortunately, Shu Lin was used to it for a long time, and he didn't even bother to laugh. But Su Linggen was not as cheeky as him, and her severe cleanliness relapsed again, and she glanced coldly at the audience for a week. What are you looking at? Why don't you hurry up and train? Yes, President. Wherever his eyes go, he instantly kills a blockbuster, and the students in the martial arts club turn their heads in unison, keeping silent. Chief, Su Shalwa, how many incredible identities do you still have? Shu Lin was once again shocked by the excellence of the school flower baby. Su Linggen said lightly, it's nothing, so I also serve as the president of 5 or 6 martial artist-related clubs in the school. So you are the real protagonist, right? Shu Lin felt crushed by the student god. It was not until the two of them approached the closed martial arts room that the martial arts club dedicated to practicing martial arts that the students of the martial arts club finally dared to discuss. Grass. The president won't really get along with this kid, will he? Isn't this kid Shu Lin, the famous scumbag from class 4 and a first-rank scumbag? I can't accept it. How did the president fall in love with him? You said, should we find a chance to give him a show later, at least let him know that the martial arts club is not the place for such waste materials as him. Are you crazy? Aren't you afraid that the president will get angry and train you to death? Forget it. At this moment, they recalled the fear of being educated by Su Linggen every day. In the martial arts room. As soon as Shu Lin walked in, he was stunned by the incomparably spacious interior. This is like moving the entire training ground to the martial arts room. All kinds of dummies are made of special metal materials, and each one is very valuable. The walls around the martial arts room are made of the most advanced memory metal, which is even enough to withstand a full blow from a formal martial artist. Looking at all this, Shu Lin sighed silently, as the school's so rich. This is too extravagant. Oh, this is my exclusive martial arts room, and I bought all the equipment myself. Su Linggen explained lightly. You are rich, you are a bull. Shu Lin was already numb to the wealth of the little rich woman. Su Linggen walked straight to the bookshelf by the wall, took out 2 thin booklets from it, and threw them to Shu Lin. These are the 2 martial arts books I have chosen for you. 1 boxing technique and 1 physical technique are all of the low levels on rank. Although the rank is a bit high for you, I think you will soon be promoted to a full-fledged martial artist, and you will be able to use it at that time. Shu Lin caught the 2 martial arts books, like a treasure. The division of martial arts in this world is very simple. From high to low, they are divided into heaven, earth, zan, huang. It is a very traditional and old-fashioned way of dividing, but this does not affect the value of martial arts. A low-grade zan level martial skill would not cause any bloodshed, but it would still be easy to sell it for at least a few hundred tens of millions. That is to say, the 1 or 2 million in his hand. That's it, the school flower baby was just thrown away like trash. People are more popular than dead people. Shu Lin didn't say much, just sat down and opened a book to study it carefully. The first thing he looked at was the body technique in martial arts, which was called Yulong Jing Hong Bu. This trick is divided into 2 types. The first style, Pian Ruolong. The second type, a big step. Listening to the name of the move, it is not difficult to see that Pian Ruolong is a functional type, which can greatly improve the speed and reaction of the martial artist in battle. It can advance and retreat, like a dragon traveling around the world, and it is flexible and changeable, making it difficult for opponents to capture the movements of the warriors. The first step is an advanced explosive skill, which instantly explodes the power of qi and blood, making the martial artist's speed soar, and taking away the opponent's life in an instant. It belongs to the type of one move that can kill people. Of course, the disadvantage is that it will consume a lot of qi and blood in an instant, so it should be used with caution. It is detected that you are practicing martial arts and your teammate's bond is in an activatable state, and the comprehension increase has been automatically turned on. Current comprehension bonus, 130%. The moment the beep sounded, Shu Lin's mind was like being brushed by an immortal, and he was instantly enlightened, only to feel a cool and transparent meaning running through his mind. The obscure words in front of him suddenly became clear. The difficulty of the practice has dropped from the postgraduate exam to the elementary school math Olympiad exam. Even if Shu Lin was a scumbag, his understanding was extremely smooth at this moment. If this were a game, it would keep flashing like this at the moment. Martial arts loading. 10%, 15%, 20%. In less than 10 minutes, Shu Lin has completed all the stages of Yulong Jing Hong Fu, from entry to mastery to perfection. That's it. With a crooked smile, Shu Lin threw the booklet of Yulong Jing Hong Bu aside, picked up another boxing book and continued to flip through it. Seeing this scene, Su Lingen, who was sitting by the window, ready to point at any time, frowned slightly but didn't say anything. She subconsciously thought that Shu Lin couldn't understand it at all, so she simply gave up on Yulong Jing Hong Bu. After all, compared to other types of martial arts, the movement technique is the most difficult, and Yulong Jing Hong Bu is the most excellent movement technique among the low-level Zon level. With that shocking step, it is enough to be comparable to the Zon level middle grade. Alas, it seems that comprehension is indeed not the strong point of Shu Lin, an old scumbag, and I am a little too anxious. If you still can't understand the simpler boxing skills, you can only exchange 2 yellow-level martial arts. Calm down, don't get angry, don't be too harsh on him. Su Lingen tried her best to adjust her mentality. But soon, her mind collapsed. Because, this time, Shu Lin just flipped through it perfunctorily, closed his eyes and touched the fish for 5 minutes, and then threw it aside. This is nothing. If you don't understand it, don't understand it. Why do you still show that arrogant smile, a humble look like a hero in the world? Hard. Su Lingen's fist became hard. She stood up with a frosty face, and was about to use her experience as the president of the martial arts club to encourage Shu Lin. Just see. Shu Lin pouted and said with a look of disgust. Su Shalwa, is there anything more difficult? All practice together by the way. Bangshan boxing is too simple, and such an old-fashioned name. Is it really serious to name it? Is there anyone that is more madly, cool, dangling, and bombing? What kind of god-defying fist, opening the god's palm? It might be more in line with my temperament. Su Lingen silently picked up the pointer, expressionless. Do you want to practice the Tathagata palm? It's interesting, I can think about it. What about the 10 and 8 palms of subduing the dragon? Ah, I'm serious, it's true. Well, I also really want to seriously give you a set of unrecognizable feet now. The pointer in Su Lingen's hand was almost uncontrollable. Shu Lin listened, and quickly glanced at Su Lingen's long legs. Straight, slender and slender, it's a pity. Su Shalwa, as long as you promise to wear black silk, I can bear the humiliation and burden. Shu Lin showed a determined look. You, subconsciously thinking about the scene, Su Lingen's pretty face suddenly turned red and dizzy, and there was a trace of murderous aura in her eyes. She is broken. I can't take it anymore. This fool is so annoying. Shu Lin was thinking about the beautiful picture of Su Shalwa wearing black silk, when he saw Su Lingen in a state of rage holding a pointer, stretching her long legs and stepping towards him. Looking at this posture, it is obviously not a whim to play some whip p.lay. Su Shalwa changed her face again. Dangerous. Shu Lin turned pale in shock, and subconsciously performed the leaping dragon he had just learned. The first style, Pian Ruolong. The next second, Shu Lin stepped on his feet and leaned back slightly, dodging the oncoming pointer dangerously and dangerously. What? Su Lingen's eyes were a little surprised, but her reason was quickly dissipated. For a time, the whip shadows flew across the martial arts training room, and the sound was everywhere. But it just couldn't hit anyone. At this time, Shu Lin's figure was slippery and greasy like a loach, frantically dodging her whip. Bah! The pointer attack. After being avoided by him just right several times in a row, the surprise in Su Lingen's eyes became more and more, and she finally recovered from the shyness and annoyance just now. Putting down her pointer, she looked at Shu Lin suspiciously. This is Pian Ruoyulong. You really practiced it? Shu Lin blinked innocent big eyes and nodded. I said it all, I'm serious. As he spoke, he suddenly burst out. A wicked smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and disappeared like a ghost. Su Lingen just glanced at it. The pointer in her hand had been snatched away by Shu Lin, and then snapped. A crisp sound rang out in the closed martial arts room. The peculiar sound was like a spoon tapped lightly on the soft cheese-popped cake. Dwang, dwang, dwang kept playing, swaying. A circle of ripples appeared. Su Lingyan felt a numbness behind her. In an instant, her fair face turned crimson and red, and her originally clear and translucent eyes were covered with murderous aura at a speed visible to the naked eye. The feeling of shame.kai spread all over the body. Shu, come. The terrifying sound not only resounded through the entire martial arts room, but even penetrated the walls made of memory metal known as the first-class sound insulation, and spread throughout the martial arts club. The members of the martial arts club who had just been envious and jealous of Shu Lin suddenly changed their faces, and their eyes were full of horror and sympathy. Hey, it's terrible, the president seems to be violent. Gone. What did Shu Lin do to make the president so angry? It's not good to provoke anyone, but to provoke the president, it's like an old birthday star hanged too long. Hee, don't say anything, he's already dead. As soon as these words came out, they immediately won the approval of all the members, and the eyes looking at the martial arts room were full of sorrowful mourning. Su Lingyan, Su Shalwa, Su Goddess, calm down, I didn't mean to. Well, even if it's a little intentional, I'm just tit for tat. In the face of Su Lingyan, who was in a state of rage and turned on the unparalleled mode, Shu Lin's flying dragon jumped to the extreme. While dodging in a hurry, he yelled for forgiveness. But at this moment, Su Lingyan couldn't hear anything. Silver teeth clenched tightly, and chasing Shu Lin with a long stick for martial arts was a blast. It's over. It's over. School flower baby is really angry this time. More importantly, he still managed to take a leap. Sure enough, as the booklet warned, he was really depleted of chi and blood. He was empty. This is not a martial skill that an apprentice martial artist should master. The pretend will really be struck by lightning. While Shu Lin repented frantically in his heart, he avoided the long stick behind him, who was swaying the afterimage. If it goes on like this, it's really going to be hung up and hammered. You can no longer hide, you must take the initiative to attack to have a chance of survival. Shu Lin made up his mind, stopped dodging blindly, and began to quietly look for loopholes. Oh, there is no need to look for it at all, the school flower baby is simply venting his anger, not telling the rules at all, and his body is full of flaws. Fight. Shu Lin gritted his teeth, and the remaining energy of blood and energy poured out without money. Amazing step. Collapse fist. When chi and blood were on the verge of depletion, comprehension began to soar, and coupled with the terrifying blessing of the bondage of teammates, Shu Lin unexpectedly merged the two moves without a teacher in an instant. At the same time as the body is like a ghost, the rigid and fierce energy of Bengshan Fist is hidden under the body method, which greatly improves the confusion. Hide the device in the body, wait for the time to move. It's now. Shu Lin turned around quietly, and pulled out a punch from under him. The strong punch instantly shattered the long stick in Su Lingyan's hand. But at this moment, the accident also followed. Because Shu Lin had overdrawn all the energy in his body, after the end of the combo, he immediately lost his strength, and his body was like a kite with loose strings. Bang! He bumped into Su Lingyan's Wai Li. By the way, he knocked her down, who was caught off guard, and the two fell to the ground together. This time, I really didn't intentional. Shu Lin's face was full of sincerity, and he used the last remaining strength to finish the sentence. Then, the eyes darkened, and I fell down. Demon City No. 1 Middle School. Infirmary. The faint scent of disinfectant came. Shu Lin opened his eyes hazy, and found a dark shadow beside him. Su Shalwa. Shu Lin's voice was as thin as a mosquito. He only felt that his whole body seemed to be drained of strength, and he was weak and messed up, and he could only see some phantoms in front of him. Has Su Shalwa been with me all the time? How long have I been dizzy? Hey, next time you must pay attention, it is extremely dangerous to be drained of chi and blood. Stinky boy, are you still thinking about picking up girls at this time? See clearly, I'm your teacher Wang. A rough voice instantly shattered all illusions. Shu Lin jumped in shock, and even his eyes brightened a lot, and he took a closer look. It was old Wang's big face full of folds who slowly approached, with a very dissatisfied expression. Mr. Wang, why are you here? Shu Lin turned his head away in disgust, not wanting to see that horrible face again. Lao Wang was furious when he heard the words, why did you say I came here? It's not because of you. The college entrance examination is going to happen the day after tomorrow, and you are actually beaten like this. It's too much. It's clearly not taking my Wang Badian in the eye. Tell me, did Su Linggan do it? It's too cruel and violent. Even if you want to reject you, you don't need to be so ruthless. Don't, Mr. Wang, you have misunderstood. I made this by myself. Shu Lin quickly stopped. By the way, is the original name of Lao Wang so domineering? Wang Ba, God. Unexpectedly, Lao Wang not only did not believe it, but even more angry, he patted his chest on the spot and said loudly. Shu Lin, you don't need to say it, don't say she is a genius, even if she is a demon, I have to educate her well today if I risk this old face. Shu Lin thought for a while and said, her father is the director of the Martial Arts Bureau of the Magic Capital. Humph, it doesn't matter who comes. Wait, who do you think her father is? Director of the Magic Capital Martial Arts Administration. Oh, that's fine. The old man sat down calmly. Just when Shu Lin thought it was calm. Da da da. A loud and rapid sound of high-heeled shoes came from afar. Then, a middle-aged woman's pungent voice came in from the door. Who said you want to educate my students? Wang Badian, you can talk to the old lady well. As soon as he heard this voice, Shu Lin guessed the identity of the person who came, and silently supported his forehead. Su Linggan's class teacher Lu Jin, nicknamed the Hedong Lioness, has a hot temper and a great voice. When she scolded someone, her voice could be heard in the whole building. Shu Lin has always suspected that she is the descendant of the charter wife, and her roar skills are well established. Good guy, it's almost a table of mahjong. Shu Lin was having a headache when he saw Lu Jin striding into the door, who was threatening and seemed to be wearing a black aura. Behind him was Su Linggan, who was also helpless. Okay, we've got it all together. Turning to look at old Wang again, the arrogance on his face has long since disappeared, but a trace of horror appeared in his eyes under the gold-rimmed glasses. Phew, what a shame, nothing. It is estimated that he is also a patient with severe bronchitis at home. Shu Lin complained with a black belly, completely forgetting that he was chased and beaten all the way by Su Shalwa. Wang Badian, you are really good. It's okay to indulge your students' early love, but you have to educate my students in turn. Lu Jin put his hands on his hips, stared at the old king with fierce eyes and said angrily. Blood, you spit out blood. Old Wang looked like a wronged little widow, pointing at Shu Lin on the hospital bed. Look, everyone is lying on the bed. What's wrong with lying on the bed? It makes sense to lie on the bed. Why do you want to eat swan meat if you are not as skilled? Lu Jin was not afraid at all, and his backhand was killing him 3 times in a row. Shu Lin, tier B between your teachers, can you not accidentally hurt the students? How am I like a toad? At least it has to be the type of frog prince. Facing the pungent Lu Jin, Pharaoh suddenly calmed down and hesitated for a long time without refuting it. Fortunately, Su Linggan, who was on the side, stood up in time to explain. Mr. Lu, Teacher Wang, you really misunderstood. It's not what you think. Shu Lin also interjected at the right time. Yes, I don't want to eat Su Shalwa either. Halfway through speaking, he suddenly felt a familiar murderous aura floating over again, and he quickly changed his words. What I mean is, I was actually in a coma because I accidentally overexcited chi and blood while exchanging martial arts with classmate Su. Su Linggan gave him an angry look, and agreed, speaking of which, Shu is still superior, and I am convinced that I lost. What? As soon as these words came out, both old Wang and Lu Jin were shocked. He glanced at Shu Lin who was lying on the bed and was ill, and then looked at Su Linggan who was like the arrogant girl of the sky. The two looked at each other, but did not speak. Their eyes were all complicated. As if one were saying, it's your students' good deeds. It's shameless to let a girl cover you. Despicable. The other is saying, hey, my students are as good as me, what can you do with me? 10 minutes later, Shu Lin finally recovered almost, at least the basic movements were not hindered. So, under Su Linggan's slightly disgusted expression, he helped him out of the infirmary. There were only 2 class teachers left in the infirmary. Watching the students leave, Lu Jin turned to look at Lao Wang, and a meaningful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Wang Badian, didn't you look very high just now? Hearing this, the corners of old Wang's mouth trembled unconsciously, but he still pretended to be calm and said, Lu Jin, I warn you, this is a school, don't mess around. What did you say? I'll give you another chance. Lu Jin glanced at him lightly. Pharaoh collapsed in an instant. I'm sorry, daughter-in-law. I'm too arrogant. Humph. Lu Jin snorted coldly, you are indeed a bit arrogant recently. If you don't see the 5,000 private money you have hidden at home, I won't care about you. Why, today I received another transfer record of 10,000 yuan. Did you do something unconscionable behind my back? Old Wang was shocked. How do you know about my 5,000 private money? So, last night you thought I was not good at cooking, it was just an excuse. How can you not care? Lu Jin didn't speak, but sat gently beside the bed and waved to old Wang. Come on, Wang Badian, come and tell me if you have any comments. No opinion, absolutely no opinion. 15,000 yuan, all for that stinky boy Shu Lin. Why? Lu Jin frowned. Old Wang sighed and explained, although that kid Shu Lin is out of tune and has poor cultivation, it's not that he's really not motivated. But his family's situation is special. After Pharaoh's explanation, Lu Jin calmed down and glanced at him angrily. Didn't you tell me this kind of thing earlier? I still have tens of thousands of dollars in my card. You can transfer it to Shu Lin too. Hearing this, Lao Wang was not happy at the time, and scolded. Turn a fart. It's almost the college entrance examination, this kid still wants to pick up girls. Hearing this, Lu Jin said with a half-smile, you are too embarrassed to talk about him. What kind of teacher brings out what kind of students? If it weren't for you, my mother still needs to live in this small college now. Go to Mowu early. Cough cough. Lao Wang was embarrassed when he heard the sound, coughed twice, and quickly changed the subject. What's even more irritating is that this stinky boy doesn't know what kind of shit luck he has gone through. He actually met a big opportunity in the dream space and suddenly became an 8th rank apprentice martial artist. Is there such a thing? Lu Jin was really surprised now. Being able to go from 1 rank to 7 ranks overnight, what kind of chance does that have to be? How can I ask him, but now that I think about it, it seems a little too incredible. Old Wang was also a little puzzled. Until, the two of them had a crazy idea at the same time. Could it be the blessing of the Holy Spirit? The couple looked at each other, and both could see the shock in front of each other. Lu Jin suddenly stood up with an unprecedented solemn expression. No, I have to call the old guys from Mowu. Will it be too impulsive? What if it is not? Wouldn't it make them run for nothing? Pharaoh quickly discouraged. Lu Jin squinted at him. Hee, Wang Badian, are you trying to tip off the emperor's side? Hey. Pharaoh, who was pinched by his daughter-in-law again, showed an embarrassed yet polite smile. Doesn't this give Shu Lin multiple choices? He is the one who makes the final decision. Shu Lin didn't know that he had been clearly arranged by 2 teachers who secretly fell in love at work. At this time, he was enjoying the support from Su Shalwa, limping out of the school gate. When he lay down, he just lay down all day. It was evening, and the red clouds overhead dyed the sky red. The street lights on both sides of the street outside the school were already on, flickering with yellowish lights. The two were like an old couple walking, supporting each other and walking slowly down the street. Behind them, the shadows of the 2 people gradually elongated until they merged into one. At the dinner table, Shu Lin watched Su Lingyan busy in the kitchen alone with a look of honor and emotion. Shu Lin was moved to the point where tears were almost streaming down the corners of his mouth as a dish that was full of color, aroma and taste was brought to the table. Unexpectedly, the always aloof and arrogant Su Dashalwa turned out to be proficient in cooking. Out of the battlefield and in the kitchen, school flower baby, it's so fragrant. What are you looking at? Eat. Su Lingyan glared at him, her face as red as a fever. Oh, only then did Shu Lin regretfully withdraw his gaze. It's my fault today. I really didn't want to trick you on purpose. Hearing Shu Lin mention this, Su Lingyan's pretty face became even more oozing red, and the iceberg momentum that she had finally accumulated was instantly broken. His voice was not as cold as before. You must not mention it again. Hearing the sound, Shu Lin glanced at Su Lingyan strangely, but found that her current state was very wrong. Even if his face was too red, the chopsticks holding the vegetables were still shaking a little. School flower baby injured. No, no, even though her punch looked fierce, it actually hit her with a stick, and it was impossible for her to be injured. So what happened? Shy. It turns out that the seemingly cold school flower baby has such a thin skin. Don't look at me. Su Lingyan couldn't bear it anymore. She didn't even eat. She got up and went back to her room. Seeing Shu Lin's forehead full of question marks, he sighed in his heart. Dad is right, a woman's heart is as deep as the sea. At the same time, as soon as Su Lingyan entered the room, she immediately locked the door with her backhand and fell on the bed with her head raised, leaving the 3,000 blue silk scattered on the pillow. She stared at the ceiling slightly blankly. Why did that guy play tricks on him like that, and he didn't beat him up while he was in a coma? Even the rage at the time was just a reaction of conditioned reflex. When I was with him just now, I was unconsciously a little shy. This is unprecedented for her. After all, before she met Shu Lin, she couldn't even communicate with people normally. Not to mention the shyness of a girl. It's impossible. Could it be that his mental cleanliness has mutated? Blamed Shu Lin, the fool. How dare he? After staying alone in the room until 9 o'clock, Su Lingyan finally calmed down. Come to the door of Shu Lin's room. Knock on the door. Dong dong dong. Come in. The door is unlocked. Taking a few deep breaths, Su Lingyan pushed in the door with a cold expression on her face. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Shu Lin, who had been lying down for a long time, with his heartless smile, waving to him. Come on Su Shalwa, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Quote. In an instant, the Dao Xin, which Su Lingyan had spent several hours building up again, almost collapsed on the spot. I recited, for martial Dao, 3 times in my heart. She barely regained her composure, and went straight to her floor to lie down, without even looking at Shu Lin. Shu Lin didn't think much about it when he saw this. He had already become accustomed to the moodiness of his school girl. Soon, as the two closed their eyes, the real world shattered again. It is detected that you and your teammate Su Lingyan are entering the dream space, and the teammate bond has been successfully activated. A familiar voice sounded, and when they opened their eyes, the two were already in the strange forest of the dream space. Seeing Su Lingyan on the side, not only was silent, but she also started to keep a distance from herself. In order to avoid embarrassment, Shu Lin had no choice but to ask a question. Su Shalwa, if the warrior did not die in the dream space, would he always be teleported to the original location? Su Lingyan also realized that she was acting a little too indifferent, which would only affect the progress of their dream exploration, so she finally said, no, even if we remain immortal, every other week, we will be randomly teleported to other locations. Including today, it's been 6 days since I teleported to this strange forest. That is to say, if nothing else happens, today and tomorrow are our last chances to find that high-level chance. But according to past experience, the birth of this opportunity should be tomorrow night. Understood. Shu Lin nodded. No longer wasting time, the Eye of Truth opened directly, and began to investigate the surrounding situation. Front left, a little gain, no danger. Right in front, destined to return empty-handed. Front right, there is a big guy, but it is not very dangerous. Right on the left, oh hoo. A good thing you can't miss even if you break your leg. Seeing this prompt, Shu Lin was instantly refreshed with a look of joy on his face. This is the first time that this kind of high evaluation has appeared, and it doesn't seem to be dangerous. You can prostitute for nothing. It's just, how come this prompt is getting more and more Sao in Sao? Have you found anything? Seeing Shu Lin's smile, Su Lingyan immediately judged that there must be something good that this fellow can get without effort. Hey, you'll know when you go. It's not that Shu Lin wants to sell off, and he doesn't know the specific information. After all, the Eye of Truth is only a primary level now, and it will be more convenient to have a higher level in the future. As the two passed through the layers of gray fog, a towering tree that was far rougher than the other trees in the strange forest appeared in front of them. And on the trunk of this giant tree, there is a tree hole. From the tree hole, the dark yellow light of the stars wafts out, which is extremely gorgeous. The two took a closer look, and what radiated light in the tree hole was a boxy brass box. Brass treasure chest. Su Lingyan snorted softly, and her eyes were full of brilliance. Although the chance of treasure chests is not the most precious in the dream space, it must be the favorite of warriors. The reason is simple, because there is no risk factor. The treasure chests in the dream space are divided into 4 levels: brass, silver, gold, and supreme. Although the level of the brass treasure chest is at the bottom, it is already the best in the area where the apprentice is located. After looking at Shu Lin, Su Lingyan stepped forward and opened the brass treasure chest. I see. In the brass treasure chest, 2 balls of light, one white and one red, are quietly floating in it. They are 2 one-star dream spirits. Su Lingyan didn't hesitate at all. She reached out to seal the dream spirits with 2 strands of qi and blood, preventing them from slipping away. After doing all this, she turned her head to look at Shu Lin. In addition to joy, there was a bit of complexity in her eyes. You really are the biggest bug in the dream space. I have been here for 3 years and have only found a brass treasure chest once, and you only got it the next day. It seems that you are my real surprise. Su Shalwa, are you in love with me? Shu Lin showed a mean smile. Forget it. Afterwards, under the recognition of Su Lingyan, who is well informed and knowledgeable, the information of the 2 dream spirits was determined. Mengling. Sword of Frost referred to as Frost Sword Mengling. Amplification effect. Provide additional frost attributes to the swordsmanship of the warrior, enhance the power of the swordsmanship, apply a freezing effect to the target, and reduce the speed of its blood circulation. Carrying talent. Frozen Sword Qi produces a Frost Sword Qi, which has a strong freezing effect. Dream Spirit. Furious Wind referred to as Storm Spirit. Amplification effect. When a warrior uses a weapon to attack, it provides an additional wind force effect, improves the weapon's sensitivity and speed, and applies a tearing effect to the target. Carrying talent. Wind of Fury summons a short-lived violent whirlwind and applies it to the weapon, multiplying the tearing effect. 2 very practical 1-star dream spirits. The 2 quickly assigned the ownership of the 2 dream spirits. Shuangjian Mengling was just perfect for Su Lingyan, who used the sword as a weapon and was good at swordsmanship. Just thinking about that scene. Su Lingyan, who is dressed in white and has a cold temperament, used her swordsmanship in the wind and snow, like a dragon, and wherever the sword light went, frost and snow drifted. Beautiful. Gufeng Mengling belongs to Shu Lin, and with his unique magic knife Mengling, it is also even more powerful. When the king's flying knife in the hidden weapon, combined with the sensitive speed bonus of the force of the wind and the tearing effect of the roaring wind. Hiss. Just don't be too cool. After successfully binding with Mengling, Shu Lin quickly found a perfect test subject. Right front it looks simple and honest, but it is actually very ferocious. Don't delusionally fight it close to it. After passing through a short section of gray fog according to the direction indicated, the 2 saw the target of the trip. A bloodthirsty mad bear with a huge body and blood-red fur that is more than 3 meters tall when it stands up. At this time, it was sleeping under a big tree, and the terrifying snoring sound was earth-shattering. Puffs of white mist kept rising from its dark nostrils. Although the sleeping position is a bit silly, but it is obviously a ruthless character, where is it simple and honest? Shu Lin complained in his heart. Are you sure you don't want me to join forces with you? Su Lingyan looked at the bloodthirsty mad bear that shrank into a ball like a hill, and said with some concern. Shu Lin didn't dare to make a ticket now, and without any embarrassment, he said directly. I'll try the power of the combination of Magic Saber Mengling and Gust Mengling first. If we can't kill it, we will run immediately and don't look back. Fine. Su Lingyan knew that she was worrying for nothing. How could Shu Lin be the kind of person who was desperate for face? If he really wanted to encounter danger, he used the dragon to jump, and I'm afraid he couldn't run as fast as him. I saw Shu Lin spread his hands, and the 8 black flying knives transformed from the fantasy sword dream appeared out of thin air in his palms. Then, the pale red gust of wind dream spirit appeared together, turning into a palpitating force of gust of wind, surrounding the flying knife. Let's go. Shu Lin let out a low voice, clasped the 4 black flying knives in each of his hands, made a clever arc in the air, and threw the flying knives out. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 4 knives in one hand and 8 knives in 2 hands flew out almost at the same time and from different angles. Under the blessing of the speed of the force of the wind, it seems that the obstacles of air resistance have been completely ignored, and the 8 flying knives have turned into black streamers at this moment. The goal is the same, going straight to the bloodthirsty mad bear. The back waist, the back of the head. Each of the flying knives aimed at different parts of the bloodthirsty mad bear. Shu Lin's idea is simple. Afraid of not being able to find the key. Then aim for more spots. Almost in the blink of an eye. Hey, hey, hey. The 8 flying knives were accurate, instantly piercing the bloodthirsty bear's thick blood-red fur, piercing blood holes one by one on its body. The tearing effect of the force of the wind also erupted at the same time, and the wound further expanded. Scarlet blood spurted out of the wound at once. However, compared to the huge body of the bloodthirsty mad bear, this level of damage seems to be slightly weaker. As predicted, the bloodthirsty mad bear didn't die at all, just woke up from a deep slumber and let out a furious roar. The roar shot straight into the sky, startling countless birds and beasts in the strange forest. What the hell? The skin is so thick. Shu Lin cursed secretly. Boom. At the same time, the bloodthirsty mad bear raised his palms and slammed the ground, and a powerful blood-red evil spirit erupted from his entire body. Click, click, click. A crisp cracking sound came from the blood hole of its wound. The 8 flying knives that pierced deeply into its body were actually shattered by this evil spirit. So perverted. Is this really a beast that a trainee martial artist can fight? Shu Lin asked in surprise. Su Linggen's face is also not good looking. That's why it is said that between the same realm, it is difficult for ordinary warriors to compete with fierce beasts. Just as they were amazed, the bloodthirsty mad bear twitched the tip of his nose, seemed to smell their scent, and slowly turned to their direction. Roar! The bloodthirsty mad bear roared wildly at the two of them, opening the terrifying mouth of blood that was enough to swallow a living person. Then it had red eyes, and 2 thick bear paws the size of a palm fan slapped the ground heavily, running towards them. In an instant, the ground seemed to be shaking in the strange forest, and the ground beneath his feet began to tremble slightly. Not good. Let's go. Su Linggen's face changed drastically. She was about to pull Shu Lin away, but her hand was empty. Look again. Shu Lin was waving desperately at him 10 meters away. As expected of you. It wasn't until after a certain distance from the bloodthirsty bear, Shu Lin stopped again. Why, you don't want to mess with that crazy bear, do you? Su Linggen's expression changed slightly. Behind him, the sound of earth shaking and tree trunks crumbling could be heard far away. The bloodthirsty mad bear has been chasing them for 10 minutes, not only showing no sign of giving up, but even the roar is getting more and more angry. Along the way, it has destroyed countless towering trees. It is enough to see its madness and brutality. Well, my real nirvana hasn't been used yet. After running for so long, the magic saber Mengling finally recovered. Shu Lin nodded, his palms spread out again, and the flying knife that had been destroyed by the bloodthirsty mad bear retransformed. Come on, look at the effect this time. Saying that, Shu Lin raised the corners of his mouth slightly and muttered silently in his heart. The wind of fury. Gufeng Mengling was summoned, and the illusory reddish body spun wildly in midair. The speed was getting faster and faster, bringing with it a pale red afterimage. In an instant, a violent small tornado condensed and rose rapidly, reaching a height of 5 or 6 meters. The wind was so strong that Gufeng Mengling flew sand and rocks within 10 meters around her body, and carried countless leftover leaves. Immediately, the crimson tornado that seemed to be shouting furiously in the sky split into 8 hurricanes, surrounding the 8 flying knives. Go! Shu Lin gave an order, and 8 flying knives came out in response. It turned into 8 crimson afterimages, easily penetrated the towering trees in front of it, and shot directly into the bloodthirsty bears running wildly from the depths of the forest. Just listen. Shut, scoff, scoff. The penetration sound is almost inaudible. But the next moment, bang, bang, bang. A terrifying explosion resounded through the sky. Bam. This time, it was the sound of the bloodthirsty bear falling heavily to the ground. Obviously, the tearing effect of the wind of rage after the multiplication has made a contribution. After waiting quietly in place for a few minutes, after confirming that the bloodthirsty mad bear had not moved, the two returned again. After seeing the end of the bloodthirsty mad bear, Su Linggen's pupils shrank suddenly. I saw that the bloodthirsty mad bear's huge body was blurred with flesh and blood, and there were huge blood holes with deep bones. Around the blood hole, it was like a laceration wound as thin as a cow's hair after being slashed by 1,000 knives. The stench of blood flowed out. Around the corpse of the bloodthirsty bear, there was blood and blood everywhere. The tragic scene almost refreshed the upper limit of Su Linggen's lethality for apprentice warriors. Tisk tisk tisk. You have to chase it. You deserve it. Shu Lin showed an extremely satisfied smile on the side, and did not forget to kill the bear. You successfully killed a bloodthirsty bear. Congratulations on getting 2,500 points of blood after the bonus. Full of chi and blood, you have successfully advanced to the 9th rank apprentice martial artist. Host: Shu Lin. Cultivation: 9th grade apprentice martial artist 2010 thousandths. Talent: Primary Eye of Truth. Weapon: Phantom Flying Knife. A special weapon transformed from a dream spirit of a star. Martial skills: 1. Yulong Jinghongbu Zon level low level body and martial arts, perfect proficiency. 2. Collapsing Mountain Fist Zon level low grade attacking martial arts, perfect proficiency. Mangling: 1. Dreaming Sword of Illusion 1 star. 2. Furious Wind Mangling 1 star. Secret skill: none. The prompt sound fell, and a vigorous chi and blood was born again from the body, constantly strengthening and refining Shu Lin's body. Call: as the last ray of chi and blood calmed down, Shu Lin exhaled a breath of turbid air, and his physique strength rose to a new level. Not only that, after this promotion, the blood concentration in his body was so thick that it seemed to have reached a small peak. Today, he can not only simply mobilize chi and blood to enhance his physical strength, but can also release chi and blood for a short period of time. Shu Lin stretched out his hand, and the power of chi and blood in his body gathered frantically, and strands of blood-colored energy as thin as ox hair emerged from his palm. That's it. It doesn't seem to have any use for Luan. Su Linggen glanced at him and said lightly, the release of blood and blood is a unique fighting method in the official warrior realm. You are only a 9th rank apprentice now, and the concentration of blood and blood is not enough, it is really useless. Of course, if you want to work hard, maybe you can ignite a fire with your energy, and it's useful to show off in front of ignorant little girls. Shu Lin said speechlessly, I've worked really hard, and I only have this strength. If I think about the level of ignition, wouldn't I have to lie down in the infirmary for another day? After speaking, Shu Lin changed his voice and said cheaply, speaking of which, if you do that, will you continue to help me go home and cook for me? Hee, dream about you. Su Linggen rolled her eyes and turned away arrogantly. Do you still want me to help you go home? Castrated you are considered light. That said, aren't we in a dream? Shu Lin finally found the loophole in the words of the all-knowing and almighty school flower baby, and complained. Then, just after he took a step, his legs softened. Crack, Shu Lin fell to the ground dumbfounded. Oh shit, the power of this shit is really flashy. I've been sucked dry again. Su Shalwa, I seem to be a little empty now, I may need you to help me. Su Linggen turned her head to look at Shu Lin, who was about to cry without tears, and the corner of her mouth raised an arc involuntarily. Hee, deserve it. The girl's silver bell-like laughter was like a silver bottle bursting into water, and in an instant, even the deep atmosphere of the bewildering forest seemed to have faded a lot. Under a towering tree with a strange shape, Shu Lin leaned back against the tree trunk, while repairing and restoring the excessively depleted chi and blood in his body, while admiring the delicate curves of the school flower baby in front of him. Su Linggen stood in front of him, wearing a black tight-fitting martial arts uniform, her neat little hands supported the hilt of the long sword around her waist, and her cold eyes looked around, always guarding against possible dangers in the gray fog. Not long after, Shu Lin's chi and blood had recovered by half. He summed up the reason for the excessive loss of chi and blood this time. It is not simply caused by outgoing energy. Instead, he used the flying knife combination skill combined with the double dream spirit after a long time on his escape. Therefore, the power of chi and blood in the body will be emptied all at once. With this experience, he realized that the dream spirit he carried was actually a big consumer. He used nearly 30% of his chi and blood to make the Huan Dao Mengling retransform the destroyed flying knife, and he used 20% of his chi and blood to let the furious wind use the talent of the roaring wind. Why, martial arts are not easy, Shu Lin sighed. The only thing that excites him is that this time the experiment was a great success. The combination of flying knives, or the storm blade he named, is amazing. Not only the violent bloodthirsty mad bear couldn't hold it, but even his schoolflower baby said. In the realm of apprentice warriors, I am afraid that no one can take him with this dark knife to hurt people. Shu Lin was imagining the beautiful scene where he punched a genius and kicked a monster in the martial artist realm, when the prompt in front of him suddenly changed. Directly ahead, there is a similar person wandering around, try to trick him to kill him. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.